Dantewada area in the Dantewada district of Chhattisgarh. What are the circumstances under which it happened? Well, what we know is that this truck was going from a certain area. There was a major blast, an IED blast that happened. Heavy rainfall has been witnessed in this area. Amidst all of these circumstances, you have a statement coming in from Home Minister of the state. You also have Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel speaking. And right now, here's an assurance coming in from Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who has said that they will ensure that all kind of possible help is extended at this point in time. You remember, that was a very important moment from the internal security point of view. When Home Minister Amit Shah was in Sukma, he was there for a particular event. There are various points at which a statement has been made by the state government and the union government that more and more Naxal affected areas are going to be neutralized. They will no more be the red zones. And yes, in the last few years, the number of red zones have significantly declined and they've been converted into the green ones. Well, we also have Mr. P.K. Mishra, who is the ADG of the BSF. He's a retired officer from the forces and he'll be able to tell us more about his perspective. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us. Very unfortunate bit of news. 10 of our Jawans have lost their lives. They've been martyred. How do you see this entire incident and what is the message that these insurgents are trying to put out?
Yes, I can well tell you, I just came to know about this incident which has happened at Dantewada in Mokarsar area. And I can well tell you that this I have written a book recently on the operational tactics of Maoist and how operationally they are going down. But how they are opening their tactics, how they are changing their tactics and techniques of operation. So I can well tell you, even though their area of operation has gone down tremendously because of the coordination between the central forces and the state forces and the paramilitary forces. So, and the communication, development communication of road and communication of wireless and also utilization of drones and cameras and satellites and whatnot. Yeah. Things are definitely better. But I can well tell you that their technology and their tactics, I can well tell you how they are doing it. They are watching. Naxalites, they keep on watching the movement of security forces for about 3 to 4 months to know the lapses, where the lapses are occurring. And exactly there are 2 places when they will remain mum totally, they will remain quiet, and for 3 months they will keep watching your forces, how they are operating in those areas.
Sir, I'm trying to simplify the vast reserve of knowledge that you have since you've written a book on this subject. I want to focus on one point. You said that the area under the Maoist control, especially in Chhattisgarh and in other states as well, has significantly gone down. Dantewada has been worst affected by this. But in the recent past, multiple villages of Dantewada have also been made the green zones, no more the red zones. Which are the areas which continue to remain under the effect of these insurgents or Maoists?
Yes, I can tell you if somebody has gone to Dantewada in those areas in Chhattisgarh. You see, there are places because you see, these are very important areas and very undeveloped areas. Of course, last about 5 years, a lot of development has taken place and a lot of communication, road communication has come up. And it is still going on. And you see, when the road communication is going on, the security party, they are there. And you can well see that at various places when the communication is continuing, most of the bulldozers and other equipments of the contractor, they are being burnt, they are being totally blasted by Naxalites because they don't want the communication to go on so that forces can go to interior places and development can take place, and local tribals, interior people, they will have faith on their government. That is what they don't like it. So Dantewada has a lot of development, but yet there are places, I can tell you in Sarandar and the Dandakaran area, lot of other areas are still there in red zone. And they have to, the best solution will be, even I have written in that book, better to open a headquarter, a divisional headquarter inside Saranda and one more inside Dandakar area. Which communication facilities and helicopter helipad facilities, so that once your headquarters is there and your battalions are located, reserve battalions are located, it is easier to operate from there. So our reserve division
2023 is going to be a very important year for Chhattisgarh. There are elections, there are heightened political activities. What is the message that these groups are trying to put out? Especially an attack of this nature has happened after some time. Fortunately so, because the government has been making inroads in these red corridor in these areas. But the timing of this attack, how do you read the timing of it, sir?
Yes, I think I don't want to comment whether it is politicalized or not, but my mouth is shut because I don't want to speak on this particular aspect. But it is okay. And you see the last one which happened where Mr. V.C. Shukla was killed and a lot of other Congress leaders were killed. And I visited that place also. Things were pretty bad and it was politicalized. I know what it really felt, how the Congress had suffered there also. So anything is possible because during politics, a lot of things can happen.
So far, the state and the union government have been politically and from the administrative point of view have shown a cohesion, and they have worked together on this issue. There's a call that went from the Union Home Minister as well to Chhattisgarh Chief Minister, and the Union Home Ministry has assured all kind of help to the state government to combat the situation on the ground if there is anything additional that is required. As far as the coordination between the two is concerned, how significant that has been in bringing down these areas under the red corridor?
Yes, there is a lot of improvement because central government has helped all these state governments under the red corridor. They have improved the communication, improved the technology of the weapons, and improved the training aspect of it. And the tribals were taken also. They were taken in various police institutions, and state police was also in the India Reserve Battalion and also in the paramilitary forces to fight against the Naxals. Because the son of the soil, they will definitely understand how to fight it, and they were trained in those areas also from where they were taken and they were recruited. So a lot of development it has taken place, and the weapons which were earlier there, AK-56 and all, they have all gone. Automatic weapons are there, and night vision devices are there to operate at night, and communication. I can well tell you. Air to ground communication is always there for Naxalites operation, including helicopter communication. Satellite communication is also available. Drone communication is also available. But I can well tell you, like the incident which happened in which V.C. Shukla and all, they were killed. They came in mass and they were ambushing them. They remained there in ambush for more than 8 hours, and it could not be known also in those areas. So this particular thing I can well tell you because it happened when the police team in a vehicle, they were returning. They knew they burnt a vehicle, and they knew particularly the police will come. The party will come.
It was not too long ago. I am reading a report of 25th of March 2023. When you had Home Minister Amit Shah, who oversaw the sustained security crackdown against the left-wing extremism, and he reached the Naxal-hit Basta district of Chhattisgarh. He visited a CRPF camp that was set up there. There was also a visit to a healthcare center, a school, and this was a statement of sort that was made by the Home Minister that whether it's Sukma, whether it's Jagdalpur or different Bastar areas of Chhattisgarh, the government is confident of the moves that it's making. And in just about a month, we see an attack of this nature really happening. So I'm trying to understand the timing of it, the dynamics behind it, and what more perhaps the government and security agencies can do. 10 of our Jawans have lost their lives, unfortunately.
Yes, we are very sorry, but because we lost my 11th Jawan, but I can tell you that...
So I'm sorry, we are losing your audio. We'll just fix that problem. Arunima, meanwhile, is back with us on the broadcast. Arunima, what's the assurance that has been given by the Union Home Ministry to Chhattisgarh Chief Minister?
Well, the Union Home Minister himself dialed the State Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, and in that Union Home Minister Amit Shah told him, first he took a brief about what really the situation on ground was. It was given all the information by the CM, and then the Home Minister, we are told, offered every possible help that the state needs from the center. If there are choppers that are required, if there are paramilitary forces that are required to aid the anti-Naxal operation, all of that the center has assured. Two, three things which are now clear after speaking to people on the ground,
right.
That there was intelligence available of Naxal presence in Aranpur. It was based on that intelligence that this truck, Tata 407 is the vehicle that we are being described. It's a mini truck. That carried about 10 DRG personnel and one driver. And they had completed the operation. When they were coming back, there was an IED placed on the Aranpur Dantewada road, which exploded, killing everybody who was in that truck. Initial numbers seem to suggest that the casualty numbers could be high, but we're just going with what police is telling us at the moment, which is 10 DRG personnel and one driver killed, all those who were in that truck.
Arunima, with the assurance coming in from the Union Home Ministry directly, you were also talking about how the Union Home Minister himself was present in Sukma. There are reports of, March last year, how he visited Jagdalpur, a CRPF camp there, a healthcare center, a school, development initiative in the heartland, in the key areas which have been affected by Naxalism, is something that the Union government has also focused upon. Bold political and administrative statements have been made, but yet an attack of this nature really happens.
If you speak to people on the ground, the CRPF and the local policemen, they will tell you this is unavoidable because Naxals are trying to hit back. They're clawing at ground that they're losing. With every passing year, there are more territories that Naxals once called liberated zone that the central forces, that the state police is taking back. In Sukma, the area where Home Minister visited was still very recently, a Naxal territory with hardly any government presence. This was taken away by CRPF and subsequently a camp was constructed, and today the Union Home Minister is able to visit there. There is an Anganwadi there, there's a school there, and he can speak to people. To tell you, something that we heard from the ground was that when Home Minister was visiting, little kids who were there meeting him were asked by the officials, do you recognize who you're speaking to? They were not even sure who they were speaking to. That is the kind of backwardness we are talking about. So Naxals are trying to hit back, and like I was explaining, this is TCOC time. So this is unfortunate, but unavoidable if you have to go ahead and capture the Naxal territory back and get development to the people of that area.
When was the last time we saw an attack of this nature? It's been a while that we haven't, fortunately, lost any lives, at least of this scale.
Absolutely, and that is because, if you go by the standard operating procedure, traveling by a truck is something which forces are always told to avoid, because you stand that risk of an IED exploding and making that truck a moving coffin. You're always advised to walk if you're going on operation and take a different route while walking back. Don't take the same route, because Naxals observe your movement and keep an ambush ready when you come back. In this case, we don't know what the circumstances were, why the DRG decided to take the truck route, but unfortunately it became a moving coffin for them, as the SOP always says there is a risk of.
Weather, what kind of role does it play in attacks of this nature? Usually in other terrains, in other geographies like Kashmir, weather plays a very important role. In this particular area, these are dense forests. It has been heavily raining. Is that a factor which is critical, important to this development? We'll try and connect with Arunima and get more details on that story. We've lost that line. We continue to speak to experts, top voices. You heard from Chhattisgarh Home Minister. The Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Mr. Bhupesh Baghel, also came out and gave a statement, and he assured that all kind of possible action will be taken. The security has been heightened, as the Chhattisgarh Home Minister told us that there is a standard operating procedure that comes into play each time an attack of this nature happens. Combing operations in the area are already underway, as Arunima was pointing out. Right now, multiple ambulances have been rushed to the spot, and the attempt is to save as many lives as possible. Unfortunately, it is being indicated by way of sources that the casualty numbers could rise up. Arunima.
Yes, right now what we have been told by the police is that there was specific intelligence based on which a DRG team was dispatched, and they had completed the operation. They were on their way back around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the Aranpur Dantewada road. There was an IED blast which took their truck apart. All 10 who were in that truck, we told, died, and even the driver. Whether others also in another vehicle, is that why there is this fear of rising casualty? We are not sure, because even now, this area of Aranpur is about 70 kilometers away from Dantewada headquarters. From the local civil hospital, 3 ambulances left about 45 minutes ago, and the local administration has also rushed. But there's always this risk, when you're rushing in after a Naxal attack, you just don't know whether the Naxals have laid another ambush for you, and therefore you have to be careful. That's why perhaps it is taking more time for us to get confirmed figures from the ground. But this is what we know initially: at least 10 of those DRG personnel and 1 driver martyred in that attack.
10 Jawans and 1 driver has been martyred in that attack. Combing operations are underway. There's a statement that has been made by Chhattisgarh Chief Minister. It's being reported that Union Home Minister himself dialed to Mr. Bhupesh Baghel, the Chief Minister of the state, and assured him that if there is any kind of additional help which is required, that would be done. The broader context of the story is that Dantewada has been the heartland, has been the epicenter of insurgency and the Naxalite movement in this country for decades now. With the sustained efforts of the state government, the union government in coordination with each other, the Red Corridor area has significantly come down in different states which are affected by this insurgent activities. As the experts like Mr. P.K. Mishra were pointing out, that despite the shrink that you've seen in the Naxal-controlled territory, there are still pockets that remain under their control. And they're trying to hit back the supply that they have of arms and ammunition, kind of funds that they require. All of that has been significantly cut, but yet these are instances which perhaps are unavoidable in many ways, but each life lost is a very, very precious one. These are Jawans who have laid down their lives fighting insurgency and Maoism in this particular area. In Dantewada, there are multiple villages which now have been declared as green areas, green zone. They have more facilities, the control of the Indian government and the administration. As I was pointing out just about a month ago, you had Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who ensured and was directly monitoring the sustained crackdown on the Naxalite movement in Chhattisgarh specifically. He was also in Jagdalpur. There was a Raising Day event that he had attended. He had also visited the Bastar area, which of course is one of the areas affected by Naxalite movement in the country. IG Bastar is giving out a statement. Let's listen in.
थाना अरणपुर क्षेत्र में पूर्व हिडमा इलाका में दरबटीश माओवादी कैडर्स का उपस्थिति की सूचना पर दंतेवाड़ा डीआरजी द्वारा एक अभियान संचालित की गई थी। अभियान के पश्चात तब जिला मुख्यालय दंतेवाड़ा वापस लौटा थे। इस दौरान अरणपुर एवं शामिल के बीच में डीआरजी गाड़ी को आईडी के माध्यम से माओवादी द्वारा टारगेट की गई। उस घटना में हमारे एक वाहन आईडी के चपेट में आ गए थे। उसमें 10 डीआरजी जवान एवं 1 सिविलियन ड्राइवर, कुल 11 लोग का शहादत हो गई। अतिरिक्त रीइंफोर्समेंट पार्टी सीआरपीएफ डीआरजी घटनास्थल पहुंच गई है। अभी घटनास्थल से सभी शहीदों का बॉडी को इवैक्यूएशन का कार्रवाई की जा रही है। स्पॉट में सीनियर ऑफिसर्स का भी अभी पहुंच गए हैं। अभी लगातार सर्चिंग अभियान जारी है और घटनास्थल की जो निरीक्षण के पश्चात और संपूर्ण विवरण प्राप्त हो। जिला दंतेवाड़ा
Well, that was the word coming in from the IG of Bastar. He's pointing out the preliminary details which have been confirmed, that this was a truck that was moving. It had the Jawans, it had the supplies, and there was also a driver who has been killed in this attack. The preliminary details of the investigation have been put out by IG Bastar, Sundar Raj. He just spoke to public right now. There's a statement given by Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel as well. Dantewada, the epicenter of Naxalite movement in this country, the area under Naxal control has significantly come down, but this deadly Naxal attack has happened. A truck was blown. This is supposed to be an IED blast. That's what initial reports have told us. There was heavy rainfall that was witnessed in this area. That is, of course, one factor which the experts believe could be important. That's what Mr. P.K. Mishra was also pointing out, the former ADG of the BSF. We'll try and connect with more experts and get you more details on the story. But this particular development and the number of lives which have been lost, 11 right now, unfortunately, it is expected that the casualty figures could go up. It only points out that the battle is not over. This battle that India has been fighting internally with the Maoism, with Naxalism, internal insurgency is far from over. 10 Jawans have been martyred. Right now, combing operations on the ground are underway. Multiple ambulances have been rushed to the spot. The effort is to save as many lives as possible. But there is a standard operating procedure in an eventuality of this nature. Whenever an unfortunate incident like this happens, the security is heightened. There are different areas on which the security security forces would be deployed in higher number. There would be more checks that will be conducted at different places, not just in Chhattisgarh, but in the other states as well, which are affected by insurgency. In those particular districts, there's a call which is made. That was the word that was coming in from Chhattisgarh Home Minister, who spoke to us a few minutes ago. Whether this was some kind of an intelligence failure, what exactly was it? Right now, it's not clear. At this stage, it's only the preliminary details that have come out in the public domain. And only when a particular investigation moves forward, there are specific details which are put out. Only then we'd know the exact cause. Arunima is with us on the broadcast. Arunima, any further details your sources are indicating to you?
Yes, IG Bastar Sundarraj has spoken and he has told us that, now all the senior officers from the district administration have reached Aranpur. The central paramilitary forces, mainly CRPF, which is a camp in the vicinity, they and the local police have launched a combing operation. They are spreading out all across the forested areas of Aranpur to see, A, if there are any Naxal presence waiting in ambush, B, if there are any other IEDs that have been planted, because this is also a strategy that when they carry out one attack, they then plant IEDs all around, sometimes spikes also, spikes which if you're on foot, they really pierce through your shoe and maim you. So if there are any spikes there, any IEDs that have been planted, that combing operation is on to weed them out. Sometimes there are wires leading from the roads and the IED is planted deep inside the forested area. So it's a big risk, and that's what is happening at the moment. We're told that the ambulances that had left Dantewada Civil Hospital a while back, they're just about to reach or must have reached Aranpur. So it is also being ensured that the bodies are brought back to the Dantewada Civil Hospital.
Dantewada Civil Hospital, that's where the bodies are being taken. Combing operations are underway. What kind of help has been ensured by the Union Home Ministry to the Chhattisgarh administration, to the Chief Minister? You have the Union Home Minister who himself personally has spoken and assured all kind of possible help. If there are additional choppers, deployment, anything which is needed, that will be given by the Union Home Ministry. 10 Jawans have been martyred, one driver who's lost his life. Casualty numbers could go up. This is the story emerging from Dantewada in Chhattisgarh. We'll continue tracking that right now. A quick break.
The Muslim community are getting reservation under category 1 and category 2A also, which all my Congress friends and JDS friends are confusing the Muslim community by saying reservations are taken off. No. I want to bring on record that the subcaste of Muslims, Pinjara, Nadaf, Ladaf, Kasab, Kaisai, Nalaband, Bajigar, Johari, Fulmali, Chapraband, Darveshi, more than 20 such castes are getting reservation in category 1 and category 2A already. Under the erstwhile category 2B, the whole Muslim community, as the entire religion of Muslims, was getting this unconstitutional reservation of 4%, which has now been taken back. And coming to the point of Supreme Court saying that nothing should be proceeded till 9, yes, we always respect the Supreme Court decision, because when somebody has filed a case against a particular action of the government and the matter is sub judice, we respect the court decision and we will await.
No, the court also asked in the last hearing what was the pressing hurry. Why would you want to change this existing quota structure weeks before an election is declared?
Zaka, there's an old saying, just because I was unconsciously wrong yesterday does not mean I should be consciously wrong today. Therefore, the appeasement politics done by the previous governments of Congress and Janata Dal from 1994 onwards, we have now brought that to an end.
Okay.
And ensure that reservation is given to the poor and the needy and the deserving.
Okay, Aishwarya Mahadev, how do you respond to both of these facts that Mr. Prashant and the BJP are saying? Prashant, 1 second, let me go to the other guest. Mr. Prashant and the BJP are saying that A, this is against the fundamental tenets of the Indian Constitution. Our founding fathers of the Constituent Assembly did not want quotas to be based on religion. So how do you justify that? And 2, that poor Muslims are continuing to get quota, the benefits of it under the EWS quota as well as other reservation provisions.
Zaka, good evening. And first of all, I do fear for the job security for the spokesperson, because what he just said is in direct contradiction to what his boss, Mr. Amit Shah, said. And for Mr. Amit Shah should also check who was the chief minister in power when the Muslim quota, or rather as they would like to believe, it's this faith-based quota, was even offered. Zaka, a few clarifications. From the Millers Committee of 1921 to the Chinnappa Reddy Committee, the classification to give reservation for Muslims was not based on faith. One, it was based on acute social and educational backwardness, which has been upheld in subsequent reports as well. When the AG and when they tried to mislead the court, Justice Nagratna herself said, you are making lies and this is fallacious, because the fact is the Muslim community was not getting any reservation based on faith. It was based on socio and economic backwardness that has been reiterated in several other reports. Second, Zaka, I'm going to tell you how this is a complete fraud on everybody in Karnataka. This cabinet decision on reservations, none of this will even pass and happen for two reasons. One, you have breached the 50% cap while the center has not allowed you to do so. So your SC/ST reservations will not take hold. Second, for any reclassification of any OBC communities and any categorization, you need three things to be done. Otherwise, this will be void. One, you need empirical data. Two, you need to have a final backward classes commission report that has not happened. And three, you need a socio-economic census, none of which have been done. None of the actions of the BJP government are actually going to come to fruition. It is mere electioneering and it is a ploy which is a fraud upon the aspirations of all communities.
No, so no. If it is an election ploy, no. Once again, Aishwarya, one second. Let me ask Aishwarya. If it's an election ploy, as you're saying, then how are you going to respond to it electorally? Because the BJP has thrown the gauntlet at you. They are saying that, look, Congress brings in quotas for Muslims. We take away that quota and we give it to Vokoligas and to Lingayats. We are the only ones who care about the Hindus. Congress only cares about the Muslims.
You know, Zaka, it is so unfortunate that the BJP is so bankrupt and deprived of any issues of development that this is what they've resorted to. The Kannadigas in my state have lived peacefully, and today you've taken 4% from one community and piecemeal divided it to two other communities that were asking you for 15 and 12% respectively. The Congress's response is this. We believe social justice is one of the most important responsibilities of any political party. We're saying remove the 50% cap. We're saying we will have a better socio-economic census to ensure all communities are adequately represented. And we've also asked the central government to take the onus on releasing this census data. The Karnataka Congress stands for social justice for all, not for pluck for one and throw at the other or pull from the other.
No, but Aishwarya, you still haven't answered my question. I'll ask Syed Aslam and then also to... No, one second, sir. One second. I need to go to two other guests. There are 4 guests on this show. So let me go to guest number 3, Mr. Syed Aslam of the JDS. Aishwarya has not answered this question, but I'm going to ask you this. Fundamentally, the problem with the Muslim quota, even as Aishwarya argues, it was not based on religion or faith. It was based on socio-economic backward status. The fundamental problem was that socio-economic backward status was for people of one faith. That 4%, if you were socially and economically backward but not from the Muslim faith, you were not entitled to that 4% quota. Now, please tell me, Syed Aslam, why that should not be seen legally as a violation of the fundamental tenet of the Constitution that you cannot have quotas based on religion.
Well, Zaka, let me give you a very valid response to the stance. The Saddening committee report has categorically said the Muslim community with respect to socio-economic and educational status.
Good evening. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. The top story that we're tracking at this hour. In yet another Naxal attack in Chhattisgarh, Dantewada today, at least 10 Jawans of the District Reserve Guard, along with the driver, have been martyred. The Naxals attacked on the DRG forces while the team was in the anti-Naxal operation in the Aranpur district of Dantewada. Post the attack, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel has also expressed condolences and gone on to say that the anti-Naxal operations are on its last leg in the state and none of the Naxalites involved in the attack will be spared. Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah has also dialed the Chhattisgarh Chief Minister, assured of all possible help needed from the central government and assured that it will be provided, along with assistance to the bereaved families as well. This is a developing story. More details of the attack are currently awaited.
इस प्रकार की जानकारी है और ये बेहद दुखद है और हमारे जो जवान शहीद हुए हैं उसके परिवार के प्रति संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। लेकिन जो ये लड़ाई है वो अंतिम दौर पे चल रहा है और नक्सलियों को किसी सूरत में छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा। और निश्चित रूप से उस योजनाबद्ध ढंग से बना के ये नक्सलवाद को ही समाप्त करेंगे।
देखिए, ये कोई एक स्टेट का मामला नहीं है
जी।
ये इंटर स्टेट होता है। हमारे यहाँ मान लो घटना किए दूसरे स्टेट में भाग जाते हैं, तो ये केंद्र सरकार के ऊपर बड़ा निर्भर करता है कि वो कोई ऐसी रणनीति बनाए और साझा सरकारों राज्य सरकारों से मिल करके साझा यूनिट साझा कार्यक्रम चला के समाप्त करें, तब जा करके ये समाप्त होगा। हालांकि केंद्र सरकार से जितनी सीआरपीएफ बटालियन अन्य वेपन्स समय समय पे मिलता है, लेकिन जब तक के इंटर स्टेट इसको कार्रवाई नहीं करेंगे तब तक ये संभव होगा नहीं। तो ये केंद्र की एक बड़ी जिम्मेदारी इसमें होती है। अभी ऐसा नहीं कहा जा सकता कि इंटेलिजेंस फेलवर है। हमारा इंटेलिजेंस पूरी मजबूती से काम करता है और इसीलिए कई हादसे सैकड़ों हजारों हादसों से हमारे फोर्स को हम लोगों ने बचाया है। ये कैसे हुआ अभी इस पर कोई जवाब नहीं दे सकता, क्योंकि विस्तृत जानकारी जब आ जाएगी वहां से तब पूरी जानकारी दिया जा सकता।
Let's also now bring in our colleague Arunama to try and understand what are the details that we know so far. Arunama, so initial details that we understand, the Naxals in fact attacked the DRG forces while they were on their way as far as an anti-Naxal operation was concerned. Give our viewers more detail of where did this attack really happen and what is the confirmation as far as those who've been martyred?
So what we have been told by IG Bastar Sundaraj is that there was specific intelligence available that Naxals have been spotted in the Aranpur area of Dantewada. Aranpur is about 70 kilometers from Dantewada, and after this intelligence was received, 10 DRG personnel were sent for an operation and they had completed their search. They were on their way back to Dantewada, which is the district headquarters. When they were coming back, their vehicle, which is a mini truck-like vehicle in which they were traveling, that was blown off by an IED that was planted on the road. All 10 DRG personnel who were in that mini truck died. Even the driver who was taking them died on the spot. And now there is a combing operation which is underway. Both the central paramilitary forces like the CRPF and the local police are at ground zero. They're carrying out combing operation to see if there are any more IEDs that have been planted, because that's also one of the strategies that Naxals often use. Union Home Minister has spoken to State Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel and offered any help that he requires from the center. If there are choppers required, if anybody has survived, require medical assistance, has to be flown down to Raipur or even to Delhi, that center is willing to offer. Paramilitary forces, like I told you, have already started coordinating with the state police to carry out anti-Naxal operations in Aranpur.
So as Arunama is pointing out that the Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel has had a conversation with the Home Minister. The Home Minister is assured of all possible help as far as the centre is concerned. But Arunama, is it too early to say that there was an intelligence failure?
I would not call it an intelligence failure, because what the police is telling us, if it is true, then there was intelligence available of Naxal presence. What this looks like is more of a failure to follow the standard operating procedure. Having said that, let me qualify it by saying that, in situations like this, it is often left to the local commander to decide as to how to go about traversing these areas. Naxal prone, every moment is a risk for your life. But what is the standard operating procedure? The SOP often is not to travel in a vehicle, because this threat of an IED being planted on the road is always there. And if you are in a vehicle and suddenly an IED blows off, then that vehicle actually becomes a coffin for you. Exactly what seems to have happened in this case. The SOP suggests that when you're going for an operation, walk on the road, and when you're coming back, take a different road. Because in the past, it has been observed that Naxals often keep a watch. They have very good knowledge of the forest terrain of this particular area, so they keep a watch and they then lay an ambush for you. If you're coming back via the same road, you're more susceptible. In this case, it looks like both the SOPs were not followed. A vehicle was taken to travel and the same route was taken to travel up and down. But we'll have to wait and see once the rescue relief combing is over, what is it that investigation tells us.
Arunama, we'll just request you to stay on with us. Let's also listen into a reaction coming in from IG Bastar.
दंतेवाड़ा डीआरजी द्वारा एक अभियान संचालित की गई थी। अभियान के पश्चात तब जिला मुख्यालय दंतेवाड़ा वापस लौटा रहे थे। इस दौरान आरनपुर एवं समेली के बीच में डीआरजी गाड़ी को आईडी के माध्यम से महोदय द्वारा टारगेट की गई। उस घटना में हमारे एक वाहन आईडी के चपेट में आ गए थे। उसमें 10 डीआरजी जवान एवं एक सिविलियन ड्राइवर, कुल 11 लोग का शहादत हो गई। अतिरिक्त री-इन्फोर्समेंट पार्टी CRPF DRG घटनास्थल पहुंच गई है। अभी घटनास्थल से सभी शहीदों का बॉडी को इवैक्यूएशन का कार्रवाई की जा रही है। स्पॉट में सीनियर ऑफिसर्स का भी अभी पहुंच गए हैं। अभी लगातार सर्चिंग अभियान जारी है और घटनास्थल की जो निरीक्षण के पश्चात और संपूर्ण विवरण प्राप्त हो सकता है।
Let's continue the conversation with Arunama. Arunama, you were pointing out that there's certain standard operating procedures. For example, you never take the same route because that could be monitored by Naxals and then an ambush could be laid out. You're also pointing out that a vehicle is usually avoided because that could become a coffin. So any, understanding as to why these procedures were not followed in this case?
While we talk about that, maybe our producers can put out the first picture that has come out from the ground. It shows the impact of the IED. The top, layer of the road is completely blown off, and the impact is a huge arc. The diameter of the site seems to suggest that a lot of explosive was used. So we'll have to wait and see what the investigation tells us. What is the kind of explosive that was used? What was the intensity? All of that. But coming back to our discussion about the standard operating procedure, while these SOPs are written, analyzing the situation on ground, it is left to the local commander because what can be written in theory often cannot be implemented in practicality. If you give me a moment, Ridhima, Home Minister is here at the spot that I am. We'll try and get a word from him and come back.
Sure. We'll give Arunama that opportunity, but we're also now putting out the first pictures of where this attack actually happened. And as Arunama was pointing out, what you can see in the first pictures is that the entire road, in fact, has been blown away. So what will be important to note here is the kind of ID. We're understanding this is an ID blast. So the kind of explosives that have been used, the intensity of this blast, combing operations, we do know are currently on to try and find any sort of evidence to see what kind of, whether it was an intel failure, what was the ambush that was laid. But that is the first picture that is now coming in as far as the Naxal attack is concerned, which has happened in Dantewada, which has unfortunately led to 10 Jawans being martyred and also the driver of the vehicle. But what do we know so far? As our colleague Arunama was also pointing out, there was an attack on the DRG forces, which has now resulted to 10 Jawans being martyred. Now, why was the standing operating procedures not followed? That is something that we'll still have to wait. But as we're understanding, there was an ID ambush by Maoists in Aranpur, that is Dantewada. The first pictures of that attack on our screens as well. 10 Jawans, as we pointed out, have been martyred. The driver of the vehicle, unfortunately, has also lost his life. The attack actually happened during the anti-Naxal operations in Dantewada. The DRG force, in fact, was coming back. But as Arunama was pointing out, there are two questions here. Why did the DRG force, one, use the same route? And secondly, why did they use a vehicle which is usually avoided in cases like these? Post that, combing operations are currently on. You have the Chief Ministers, of course, offered his condolences and help to the bereaved families. The Home Ministers also had a word with the Chief Minister, offering all possible help that the centre can give. As we pointed out, the investigation is currently on. Details are still sketchy at this point. Let's also now bring in the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Vikram Singh, also now joining us. Sir, good to have you with us on the broadcast. Details are still sketchy, but we're understanding there was an ID ambush by Maoists in Aranpur in Dantewada. Let's begin from that. How difficult would the combing operations be in an area like this?
Extremely difficult, to say the least. I feel very sorry on this tragic attack. IED, improvised explosive device, was used by the Naxals on predictable lines. The area also is well known for Naxal activities. But as you pointed out, a critical mistake, a mistake that could have been avoided, using the same route twice in short span of time, was a fatal mistake. This should never have happened. This is one SOP that should have been followed in letter and spirit. It is not good to sit in judgment, but I feel that this should have been enforced. Now that the attack has happened, it gives two indications: the presence of Naxals and the area domination. Both need to be addressed now, that if the Naxals are there, we need to have some kind of actionable intelligence mechanism. Also, that if the IEDs, whether obviously they had the ingredients, they had the know-how, and they had the area domination. This area domination has to be decimated in the next 72 hours, and the police and the law enforcement agencies will have to have the area domination, get actionable intelligence, which are contributory to each other. Once you have area domination, you have actionable intelligence and vice versa. Now, to get after them, this group, it should not be impossible. But yes, I feel sorry for the Jawans, and my condolences to the families who have lost their family members. But yes, there are important lessons to be drawn. And from these lessons, we should, I think, be able to give a befitting reply very soon. The Honorable Home Minister is already assuring all health. We could use air reconnaissance, drone technology, and also other technologies, so that we had the upper hand for so many months now. This has happened after a long time, but yes, we need to have the upper hand and area domination yet once again.
Sir, as you rightly pointed out, that area domination is something that the officials and authorities on the ground will have to look into. But I want to ask you a broader issue, which is the entire menace as far as attacks by Naxalites are concerned. Not the first time, and unfortunately many believe that won't be the last time, even though the Chief Minister is assured that all those behind this Naxal attack will be caught at the earliest. What is that area that still continues to be a challenge, considering the fact Maoists still continue to attack?
The terrain, a bad administration, an insensitive administration, and a not very vigilant law and order mechanism. These have always been the three ingredients wherever Naxalism has existed. Let us address them. A resolute nation cannot have to have such attacks. And to say you're very right, the naked truth is that this is certainly not the last attack, but we can't afford even a single attack now. It's not a question of whether we can afford or not. Yet we should do all what we can to have a sensitive administration, to have a corruption-free administration, to give redressal of grievances the topmost priority, and also the police has to be taken at different level so that technologically and numerically they are a generation ahead of the Naxals.
I also want to understand, sir, just speaking as far as the terrain is concerned, because you started by saying that the biggest challenge for the combing operations is going to be the terrain. Considering the fact we're putting out the first pictures as well, what you can essentially see as far as the top view is concerned, that the road is completely blown off as far as this Maoist attack is concerned. So the kind of explosives that have used, the intensity of the blast, what do the initial details suggest to you?
I would suggest that they pilfer from the dynamite factories, and wherever there are quarries, you would see that all the Naxal attacks, and most of them do happen where there are quarrying and where there is blasting that is happening, so that the gelatin and the dynamite sticks are easy to procure. Also, the number of loads is very limited. You know, Suraj Bhan, what he used to do, he would plant these in and almost make it impossible for all the roads so that he could kill at will. They were the killing fields of the Naxals, but yes, they had to be clear, they had to be sanitized, and then our security forces were able to go through these roads. The jungle trains have not made things easier also, but yes, this is the terrain that is there, and we have to work on that.
Sir, I just want to talk to you as far as the concerns of Chhattisgarh alone are concerned. As we pointed out that we can remember at least good 8 to 10 big Naxal attacks that have happened in the past, whether it was Aranpur, whether it was Sukma, whether it is Dantewada. How is it so difficult that authority after authority finds it difficult to tackle the menace of Maoists, and we continue to lose our brave hearts?
It is so easy to sit in judgment, but I have been and I have fought. I have been a part of these operations. But yes, to rest on one's laurels is the fatal mistake that we all commit. One thing happens and we see that yes, we have got the upper hand, and then we go for a sleep. It is not that a single victory does not give you the luxury to relax, but it is that reinforce yourself, strengthen yourself, see wherever there is a chink in the armor, analyze your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities on a continuous basis so that you continue to have an upper hand. A single advantage, a single surrender, a single victory does not entitle you to rest on your laurels ever. Eternal vigilance is the secret of advantage in these areas.
I want to understand essentially another aspect, something that we were discussing a short while ago. I'll just request you to stay on with us, getting a reaction coming in. Let's listen in.
ने जो है मुख्यमंत्री से बात किया, क्या जानकारी आपके पास निकल करके आ रही है?
मेरे पास अभी जो प्राप्त जानकारी है, प्रारंभिक जानकारी, अनंतपुर थाना क्षेत्र का मामला है। वहाँ कुछ दूरी में नक्सली छिपे होने की गोपनीय जानकारी थी। DRG के जवान रवाना किए गए थे। सर्चिंग के बाद लौट रहे थे तो ID ब्लास्ट किया गया है, जिसमें 10 जवान और एक ड्राइवर की मृत्यु हुई है। कुल 11 लोगों की शहीद हुए हैं 11 लोग, ऐसी जानकारी अभी मिल रही है। एक्स्ट्रा फोर्स, सपोर्टिंग फोर्स रवाना कर दिया गया है। कुछ समय पश्चात जब वो आ जाएंगे और सपोर्टिंग पार्टी चली जाएगी तब विस्तृत जानकारी मिलेगी।
क्या कारण लगातार इस तरीके से अब नक्सली जो हमला कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, लगातार हमले नहीं हुए हैं, लगातार हमला कहना उचित नहीं है। नक्सली हमले को हम लोग हमेशा नाकाम करते गए हैं। और उनको खदेड़ने में कामयाब हुए हैं। 60% नक्सली मूवमेंट कम करने में इन 4 वर्षों में काम हुए हैं। बीच बीच में एक आध दो घटना होता है जो उनकी उपस्थिति दर्शाने के लिए दिख जाता है।
लगातार गृह मंत्री जो अमित शाह है वो नजर बना बैठे हैं, किस तरीके से जानकारी आपके पास आई है?
अभी अलग से कोई जानकारी नहीं है। जो जानकारी होगी भी तो कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी होती हैं जो काफ़ी कॉन्फिडेंशियल होती हैं, उसको ऐसे अवसर पर सार्वजनिक नहीं किया जाता।
So there you had the Home Minister of Chhattisgarh also briefing the media of the details that we know so far. The assurance that has come from the Chief Minister and authorities are people behind this Naxal attack will not be spared. We in fact have an expert now joining us. Manish Gupta is now joining us. He's somebody who understands terrains like Dantewada really well and also will help us understand how Naxals work and why is it getting so difficult to get a hold as far as the Naxal menace is concerned. Manish ji, बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए। अनफॉर्चुनेटली अभी जो न्यूज़ आ रही है डिटेल्स काफ़ी स्केची हैं, पर अभी तक ये कॉन्फर्मेशन आ गई है कि 10 जवान शहीद हो गए हैं। ऐसा बार बार खबरें क्यों आती रहती हैं दांतेवाड़ा छत्तीसगढ़ में से? अभी तक जो डिटेल सामने आई है, क्या एक पैटर्न इमर्ज हो रहा है?
नहीं, देखिए ये घटना जो हुई है, ये पहले तो मैं बता दूं, ये बड़ा दुर्भाग्यजनक घटना है। लंबे समय के बाद नक्सलियों ने कहीं ना कहीं फोर्स के एक बड़े समूह को निशाना बनाया है और इस इलाके में जब भी फोर्स गाड़ियों का उपयोग करती है, नक्सली हमेशा उसको टारगेट करने की कोशिश करते रहते हैं। कई बार सफल होते हैं, कई बार सफल नहीं होते हैं। देखिए, ये घटना जहां पर हुई है वो पालनार से जगरगुंडा वाला रोड है। ये कहीं ना कहीं दंतेवाड़ा जिला और बीजापुर जिले को कनेक्ट करने वाली रोड है। ये लगभग 1.5 दशक पहले इसका निर्माण शुरू हुआ था और अभी भी वो पूरी कंप्लीट नहीं हो पाई है। इस पूरे रोड में चारों ओर जो है 5-5, 6-6 किलोमीटर में पुलिस के कैंप भी हैं। बावजूद इसके नक्सली अगर इतनी बड़ी घटना करते हैं तो निश्चित रूप से ये कहीं ना कहीं चूक का मामला आ रहा है।
जी, मैं आपसे एक चीज़ और समझना चाहती हूँ। जैसे आपने बताया एक स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर्स होते हैं, तो आपने जैसे बताया अगर आप एक गाड़ी इस्तेमाल करते हैं तो एक ऑलमोस्ट एक गिवन होता है कि नक्सलाइट्स उस एरिया को मॉनिटर करेंगे और फिर एक एम्बुश लगाया जाएगा। और एक चीज़ और है कि अगर आप सेम रास्ता यूज़ करते हैं जाने के लिए और वापस आने के लिए, यूजुअली जो DRG फोर्सेस होती है किस तरह का स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर वो यूज़ करते हैं?
देखिए, नक्सल इलाके के लिए जो SOP है वो एक ही टाइप की होती है। सारी फोर्स जो है, चाहे DRG हो, CRPF हो, DF हो या और कोई भी फोर्स हो, उनके लिए एक बहुत क्लियर कट इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं कि उस इलाके में जब भी आप गश्त में जाते हैं तो गश्त में आप व्हीकल का उपयोग ना करें। ज्यादा से ज्यादा आप बाइक को यूज करें, लेकिन उसके लिए भी अगर आपको रोड ओपनिंग पार्टी लगी हुई है तब आप जो है वो बाइक का भी उपयोग करें। लेकिन होता ये है कि जो जवान है वो भी मानव हैं और लंबी दूरी तक जो पैदल गश्त करना जो हो और खासकर गर्मी के समय में निश्चित रूप से दिक्कत होती है और कहीं ना कहीं जवान थक जाते हैं। आमतौर पर इस प्रकार की जो घटनाएं होती हैं, नक्सली जवानों के वापसी का रास्ता देखते हैं जबकि जवान थक चुके होते हैं। 15 किलोमीटर 20 किलोमीटर जब वो पदयात्रा करके जब लौटते हैं तो निश्चित रूप से उनमें लापरवाही भी होती है, थकान भी होती है और कहीं ना कहीं सुस्ताने की अपनी एक इच्छा भी होती है। इसलिए अगर ऐसे टाइम में जो इलाका कभी लंबे समय तक अगर नक्सली वारदात नहीं हुई होती तो जवान ऐसे टाइम में कभी ना कभी गाड़ियों का उपयोग कर लेते हैं और मुझे लगता है कि जब ये गाड़ियों का उपयोग करते हैं तभी नक्सली उन पर अटैक करते हैं, क्योंकि उनको एक साथ इतने जवानों का समूह मिलता है और वो ब्लास्ट करते हैं। एक बात आपको और बता देना चाहता हूं कि ये जो सड़क बनी है ये बहुत मोटी सीमेंट कंक्रीट की रोड है जिसकी थिकनेस लगभग 1 फीट चौड़ी है। पहली बार नक्सलियों ने इस पर जो ब्लास्ट किया है तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हैवी एक्सप्लोजिव जो है इसमें उपयोग किया गया है और जिस प्रकार की पिक्चर आ रही है वहां से मुझे लगता है कि 50 किलो से ज्यादा का एक्सप्लोसिव उसमें उपयोग किया है, जिसकी वजह से उस गाड़ी के परखच्चे उड़ गए हैं और गाड़ी में सवार लगभग सारे जवान जो है वो शहीद हो गए हैं।
जी मनीष जी, मैं यही सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहती थी क्योंकि यही तस्वीरें हम अपने दर्शकों को भी दिखा रहे हैं। जो पूरी गाड़ी है उसका सिर्फ एक ढांचा रह गया है। और जैसे आप बोल रहे थे 10 जवान जो उसमें थे और जो ड्राइवर था वो भी शहीद हो गए हैं। अभी जो पहली पिक्चर आई है, जो तस्वीर आई है, उसमें ऐसा लग रहा है कि पूरी सड़क उड़ गई है, इतनी इंटेंसिटी से वो ब्लास्ट हुआ है। तो किस तरह का एक्सप्लोसिव आपको लगता है यूज हुआ है?
नहीं, देखिए, अमोनियम नाइट्रेट का उपयोग आमतौर पर नक्सली करते हैं और यहाँ पर चूंकि हैवी क्वांटिटी उसमें यूज करते हैं तो उसमें जो विस्फोट होता है वो भी बड़ा शक्तिशाली होता है और खासकर गाड़ियों को उड़ाने के लिए ऐसे ही शक्तिशाली विस्फोट की जरूरत होती है। महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है कि जब 1 फीट मोटी सड़क को, जिसकी थिकनेस 1 फीट के आसपास है, उस पर आप बीच में कैसे एक्सप्लोसिव लगाते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है नक्सलियों ने ये कोई नई टेक्निक ईजाद की है कि जो अंदर से अंडरग्राउंड रूप में उसको खोद करके वो एक्सप्लोसिव को रोड के बीच में लाते हैं और फिर उसके बाद उस पर ब्लास्ट करते हैं। क्योंकि ये इस छोटी सड़क, मतलब इतनी मोटी सड़क को छोटे विस्फोट से आप नहीं उड़ा सकते। लेकिन जो तस्वीरें आ रही हैं वो निश्चित रूप से बताती हैं कि 50 किलो से ज्यादा का एक्सप्लोसिव इसमें उपयोग किया गया था, जिसकी वजह से ये गाड़ी जो है काफी ऊंची उठी और वो कई टुकड़ों में विभक्त हो गई। उसका सिर्फ ढांचा ही दिखाई दे रहा है।
जी, जैसे आप सही बोल रहे हैं कि ऐसा सामने आ रहा है, जो काफी तस्वीरें और डिटेल सामने आ रही हैं कि काफी हेवी क्वांटिटी में एक्सप्लोसिव्स यूज हुआ है। कितना यूज हुआ है वो डिटेल्स अभी भी आनी बाकी है। बट मनीष जी, मैं आपसे एक चीज और पूछना चाहती हूँ। जब हम अपने बातचीत शुरू करी थी तो आपने बोला काफी समय बाद एक ऐसा अटैक हुआ है कि फोर्सेस पर इस तरह का अटैक हुआ हो जिसमें 10 से 11 लोग शहीद हो गए हैं। तो ऐसा कोई कारण है कि ये पर्टिकुलर टाइमिंग पे ये अटैक हुआ है?
देखिए, आमतौर पर जो नक्सलियों की जो मोडस ऑपरेंडी होती है वो कहीं ना कहीं वो अपने मोडस ऑपरेंडी के हिसाब से ये इस प्रकार की घटनाओं को अंजाम देते हैं, खासकर जब बड़ी घटनाओं को अंजाम देते हैं। देखिए, मैं बताऊं, अभी करीब 4-5 दिन पहले बीजापुर के एक विधायक के काफिले पर भी जो एक नक्सली फायरिंग की खबर आई थी। बाद में नक्सलियों ने उसका खंडन किया और उसमें उन्होंने एक प्रेस रिलीज जारी किया था जिसपे उन्होंने ये बताया था कि हमारे टारगेट में सिर्फ जवान हैं, हमारे टारगेट में कोई पब्लिक कोई जनप्रतिनिधि नहीं है। दूसरा, उन्होंने ये लिखा था कि ये हमारा TCOC का समय है। देखिए, TCOC जो वो इनकी एक्टिविटी है, जब साल में ये 2 बार जो है वो TCOC मनाते हैं, इस दौरान वो बड़ी वारदातों को अंजाम देते हैं। आमतौर पर फोर्स भी जानती है, यहाँ के लोग भी जानते हैं कि TCOC के दौरान जो है आपको अतिरिक्त सावधानी बरतने की जरूरत होती है, क्योंकि इस समय नक्सली जो है वो चिन्हांकित जगह पर बड़ी वारदात को अंजाम देते हैं। इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि इसको लेकर के कहीं ना कहीं जवानों को भी सतर्क रहना चाहिए, फोर्स को भी जो है, अधिकारियों को भी जो है इस प्रकार का कोई फिर से एक सर्कुलर जारी करना चाहिए कि TCOC के दौरान जो है SOP का बहुत स्ट्रिक्टली पालन किया जाए ताकि कोई बड़ी घटना को अंजाम न दिया जा सके।
जी, मनीष जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए। We also have ADG BSF, former ADG BSF, PK Mishra also now joining us. So good to have you with us here on CNN News 18. Details are still sketchy, but the first pictures that we're putting out on our screens, what does it look like to you?
Yeah, I can well see that one. It's definitely a very big incident and absolutely it was not believable the way they planned and they attacked and they put the improvised explosive devices and they blasted it. They had the information of police going there and they knew the track that they will be returning, and it was very well planned because I don't think there was any problem with the security aspect or anything in Dantewada. There was not anything wrong in Dantewada police or Dantewada security affairs because we had a lot of coordination between Chhattisgarh police, Chhattisgarh armed police, Chhattisgarh IRB battalion, CRPF battalions, and then paramilitary forces, the home ministry and the state also. They were coordinating all their efforts for the development and security aspects of Naxal belt. But I can well tell you if this particular incident might have happened because Dantewada, they were losing very badly and they wanted to show their strength again that they are coming up. Last visit of Mr. Amit Saha to that place, he told it very clearly that 2022 was the best time for the Chhattisgarh police and also for security forces, because no untoward incident happened. But I can well tell you that they were marking time. They just wanted to take the revenge and took time. They watched the movement of security forces and they definitely put the IED just before the arrival of the truck when the tractor was returning with the police forces.
Yeah, it almost looks like the trap was waiting for these Jawans and that vehicle to be blown up. The ambush was laid. They had intel, and that has now resulted to 10 Jawans being martyred and the driver of the vehicle being killed as well. Sir, we leave the conversation there. Appreciate you joining us here on CNN News 18. Our condolences go to the families of these Jawans and the driver as well. This is the big developing story. We'll keep tracking all these developments. For now, slipping into a very short break.
To other communities that were asking you for 15 and 12% respectively. The Congress's response is this: we believe social justice is one of the most important responsibilities of any political party. We're saying remove the 50% cap. We're saying we will have a better socio-economic census to ensure all communities are adequately represented. And we've also asked the central government to take the onus on releasing this census data. The Karnataka Congress stands for social justice for all, not for pluck for one and throw at the other or pull from the other.
No, but Aishwarya, you still haven't answered my question. I'll ask Syed Aslam and then also to... No, 1 second, sir. 1 second. I need to go to 2 other guests. There are 4 guests on this show. So let me go to guest number 3, Mr. Syed Aslam of the JDS. Aishwarya has not answered this question, but I'm going to ask you this. Fundamentally, the problem with the Muslim quota, even as Aishwarya argues, it was not based on religion or faith. It was based on socio-economic backward status. The fundamental problem was that socio-economic backward status was for people of one faith. That 4%, if you were socially and economically backward but not from the Muslim faith, you were not entitled to that 4% quota. Now, please tell me, Syed Aslam, why that should not be seen legally as a violation of the fundamental tenet of the Constitution that you cannot have quotas based on religion.
Well, Zaka, let me give you a very valid response to some stats. The Saddening committee report has categorically said the Muslim community, with respect to socio-economic and educational status, is behind the SC community. Let me give you some stats. The youth between the age of 15 to 24. Yeah. Okay. I think.
No, go on. I can hear you.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, Zaka, let me give you some stats. Some empirical evidence as well. Zaka, in the Saddening committee report, it was categorically told that the Muslim community's socio-economic and educational status is worse than the SC community. Let me give you some stats. Between the age of 15 and 24, the youth who have enrolled in the educational institution is just 39%, versus the youth who have enrolled in the SC community in the educational institutions is 44%, and the OBC community is 51%, versus the upper caste Hindu community is 59%. You can understand the educational status of Muslims. And the second very important thing, Muslims contribute about 13% of this population. The bureaucratic representation in the government is just 2.7%, right? And you know what is our representation in the political arena and so on and so forth. Now, it is not about the Muslim communities being given reservation because they belong to one particular religion. It is about the economic status. It is about the social, economic, and educational status.
Mr. Aslam, So the government's argument. Give me 10 seconds. Government's argument is that if you are socially or economically backward, you're already covered under the 10% EWS quota. You apply in that. One second. Yeah. Syed Aslam,
yeah. So, Zaka, I am drawing a very clear comparison based on the social, economic, and educational status.
Yes.
I am telling you this economically, socially, and educationally backward status didn't start from 1994. There are Miller Commission report which was constituted by then Maharaja of Mysore in 1921. The Muslims were considered as the backward community, and post-independence, the first commission, the first commission also, we have multiple commissions which have gone through. We have Havanur Commission. We have so many. Based on the Chinnappa Reddy Commission, it is not the Congress government which brought in the reservation for Muslims. Based on the Chinnappa Reddy Commission in 1994, it is Honorable former Prime Minister Dantewada ji, then he was the Chief Minister. He was the one who brought the reservation for Muslim community.
The Home Minister there saying that Muslim quota was unconstitutional in the first place, and your government, the Bomai government, removed something that was unconstitutional. If that is the case, why did the Supreme Court in the last hearing ask the Bomai government why there was such a pressing hurry to bring this quota? And more importantly, the Supreme Court today has effectively put a stay till the 9th of May on implementation of this quota.
Good evening, Zaka.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. The big story that we continue to track at this hour is the Naxal attack that has happened in Dantewada, which has unfortunately led to 10 Jawans being martyred and a driver losing his life as well. Now sources telling us here at CNN News 18 that a pressure bomb possibly could have been used. Sources also telling us that the NSG Bomb Data Center team is likely to go to Chhattisgarh. Our colleague Arunama is now back with us on the broadcast. Arunama, the first pictures that we've accessed, the entire road has almost been blown off. Only a skeleton of the entire vehicle being left, which means it was high intensity. What are your sources telling you?
Yes, so this looks like a high-intensity blast, and the diameter of the crater that you can see on the road, the entire top layer of the road completely blown off, and it tells you that it was a high-grade explosive, and the amount of explosive used also very high. What we are being told, prima facie, is that this vehicle, unfortunate as it is, its tire actually went on top of a pressure bomb that was planted right at that spot. It's a matter of investigation whether it was planted there way in advance, because this has been something that we have noted in Chhattisgarh, in Bastar. When roads are getting constructed, Naxals actually go and plant pressure bombs there, hoping that in future sometime that pressure bomb is going to explode and kill somebody. So was this one of those times where a pressure bomb was lying there, and unfortunately the front wheels of the truck just happened to be on that pressure bomb, and it's exploded under the weight of the truck? Or did the Naxals see the movement of the DRG and then laid that pressure bomb there, hoping that the truck would come over it? That's a matter of investigation. But it is being confirmed that the kind of IED used was something that was triggered. It was not a timer-based device. It was triggered because of the weight of the truck itself. And now the assistance that is being provided is the NSG team, the Central Forensics team. They will be sent to ground zero so that they can pick up whatever evidence they can from the ground and analyze the kind of explosive use, the quantity of explosive use.
Arunama, just for the benefit of our viewers, the details that we know so far is that there was a DRG team that in fact had some sort of intel, and they were on their way back when this ambush was laid. Do we have any idea what is the kind of intel that they had?
Yes, they had intelligence of presence of Naxals in the Aranpur area. I was telling you earlier also, Dantewada, Sukma, Bijapur, these are areas which are heavily Naxal dominated, Narayanpur on the other side. But they've started moving out of the habited land, out of Abadi land, and more into the forest territory. So this intelligence was about Naxals moving about in Aranpur village areas. They being spotted, and therefore this 10-member DRG team had been sent to watch out for what the Naxal activity was. And having completed whatever task they were assigned, they were coming back to Dantewada when this unfortunate explosion happened.
And Arunama, as you were also telling our viewers a short while ago, that how unfortunate this is that certain SOPs or the standard operating procedures were possibly not followed. What is the kind of SOP for all forces that are, monitoring areas that are heavily Naxal dominated?
Two things are very clear. There are various SOPs that have been formulated over the years. Every time an Naxal attack happens, there's a review of what can be done to save lives of our Jawans. Two of the SOPs that are very clear is A, avoid using a vehicle if you can during an operation, because if an IED or a blast happens, then you have no chance to escape. You're trapped in that vehicle goes off, and you see that the pictures from the ground. There is nothing left of that vehicle. It has been blown completely apart. Even the rods of the chassis have been bent. So that was the amount of explosive used, and if the metal frame of the truck suffered this kind of damage, you can well imagine what the human body would have endured in these circumstances. So the first SOP is avoid taking a vehicle if you can. The second SOP is that when you're walking down, if you're not taking a vehicle, means you're walking down for an operation. When you're walking down, ensure you have a backup route to come back. Don't take the same road that you're going up to come down, because Naxals are in those forest areas. They were keeping a watch on you, and there have been instances reported earlier where they lay in ambush waiting for the troops to return. And therefore, I mean, even if they traveled in a truck, if they had taken another route to come back, could they have been saved? Matter of investigation. But at least these two prima facie looks like were operating procedures that were not followed.
Arunama, we'll just request you to stay on with us. Let's also listen in to what the Home Minister of Chhattisgarh had to say.
कुछ दूरी में नक्सली छिपे होने की गोपनीय जानकारी थी। डीआरजी के जवान रवाना किए गए थे। सर्चिंग के बाद लौट रहे थे तो आईडी ब्लास्ट किया गया है, जिसमें 10 जवान और एक ड्राइवर की मृत्यु हुई है। कुल 11 लोगों की शहीद हुए हैं 11 लोग, ऐसी जानकारी अभी मिल रही है। एक्स्ट्रा फोर्स सपोर्टिंग फोर्स रवाना कर दिया गया है। कुछ समय पश्चात जब वो आ जाएंगे और सपोर्टिंग पार्टी चली जाएगी, तब विस्तृत जानकारी मिलेगी।
Minister of Chhattisgarh there giving assurance that those people who are behind this Naxal Maoist attack will not be spared. The Chief Minister has also had a word with the Home Minister. The Home Minister has given an assurance of all possible help as far as from the centre is concerned. PK Mishra, former ADG of the BSF, is also now back with us. Sir, we were just having that conversation a short while ago, and now more details are emerging as far as what the blast could have possibly been. We are now understanding it was a high-intensity blast. Possibly a pressure bomb could have been used. Is that a pattern that we've seen in previous attacks as well?
Yes, I can see the visual. I have seen the visual now. I can well tell you after seeing the visual, the vehicle is totally blasted, and the blasting site is there. I can well see when they planted an ID for me in Manipur, in Srinagar, where similar type of blast was made. It must be a very big improvised explosive device with about 22 to 25 kgs of explosives in this. Otherwise, it's a very big blast. It is either two switches, I can well see. One, either pressure switch, so that when the vehicle comes over it, it will blast. Number two, it will be a remote control switch that is sitting at a distance. You see when the vehicle is approaching, you blast it. So either it may be pressure switch or it will be remote control device in which it was blasted. And most probably it is pressure switch, because the vehicle has to come in. And they knew the troops were returning from the operation. The information was, there is nothing that the information is leaked out. The new troops have gone and troops will be returning on that road. And in fact, they have kept quiet for last 4 months waiting for this opportunity, and they targeted this. And of course, it was not a police vehicle, but
sure.
But the police vehicle was not being used. They were coming in a tractor, DRG vehicle, and this was the driver was killed, including all these police personnel were killed. But it was a high intensity ID.
It does look like a high intensity blast, sir.
Yes,
and you're saying the
absolutely.
quantity of the explosives that have been used is also pretty high. What I essentially want to understand, sir, is that has there been a change as far as the modus operandi of the Naxals is concerned? Because many experts now saying that there has been a shift of stance in terms of even the areas that they're attacking.
Yes, I can tell you they are giving more pressure on Dantewada. Particularly this Bastar area, they don't want to leave. And there is a pressure from Maharashtra side, and there is a pressure. And Andhra side also there is a pressure. Odisha is also coming up with Odisha Chhattisgarh border. They are sealing it. So there is a pressure from few. And Dantewada, because of the development which Chhattisgarh government and so also in central government, they are doing it as far as communication, road and development and infrastructure, development of health, education, in every aspect Dantewada is coming up. They don't want this.
Yeah.
They want that it should remain, tribal areas should not be touched, and they should
the rise
remain
of
in
development
force.
is threatening him, and that is why we're seeing attacks like these. Sir, we leave the conversation there. Appreciate you joining us. Some other political reactions also now coming in.
ये घटना बहुत दुर्भाग्यजनक है, बहुत दुखद है, और हम इस घटना में शहीद हुए जवानों के प्रति श्रद्धा सुमन अर्पित करते हैं। और इस बात का संकल्प हम सबको लेना चाहिए कि इन जवानों की शहादत बेकार नहीं जाएगी, परंतु साथ में सरकार को जिस गंभीरता से नक्सलवाद की समाप्ति के लिए कार्रवाई करना चाहिए, सरकार गंभीरता से कार्रवाई नहीं कर रही है। अभी 7 दिन पहले ही एक विधायक के ऊपर में हमला हुआ, लगातार सिविलियंस को मुखबिर के नाम पर मारा जा रहा है, सड़क बनाने वाली गाड़ियों को जलाया जा रहा है, उनकी धमकियां लगातार मिल रही है। उसके बाद भी सरकार इसको गंभीरता से नहीं ले रही है, खाली समाचार पत्रों में नक्सलवाद को समाप्त करने की बात करते हैं। मध्य प्रदेश में नक्सलवादी मारे जाते हैं, उड़ीसा में मारे जाते हैं, महाराष्ट्र में मारे जाते हैं, आज तक छत्तीसगढ़ में एक भी कोई नक्सलवादी क्यों नहीं मारा गया? क्योंकि नक्सलवाद के प्रति ये सरकार का नरम रुख जो है वो हमारे 11 जवानों को आज शहादत के लिए मजबूर हुआ है।
सर, सीएम कहते हैं कि हमने बस्तर को जाने लायक बनाया, पहले लोग बस्तर नहीं जाते।
मुख्यमंत्री जी वो तो अपने बोल मियाँ मिट्ठू बनते हैं। जरा बताइए, दंतेवाड़ा तक कब तक लोग नहीं जा पाते थे? हमेशा जा पाते थे। खाली मुख्यमंत्री जी झूठ जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि 100 बार झूठ बोल के उसको सत्य बनाया जाए, खाली मुख्यमंत्री जी झूठ बोलने का काम करते हैं। जो सेंट्रल से मिलने वाली सहायता, उस सहायता को तो पूरा उपयोग नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, उसके आर्म्स एम्युनिशन नहीं खरीद पा रहे हैं, जवानों को सपोर्ट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। जरा बताएं उन्होंने पिछले 4.5 सालों में उन्होंने कौन सा ऐसा नया काम किया जिससे नक्सलवाद से लड़ने के लिए हमारी जो सुरक्षा की जवान हैं उनको ताकत मिले? एक भी काम बता दें।
Unfortunately, a political war of words has also now erupted. The BJP training its guns at the state government, asking why steps haven't been taken to contain attacks from the Naxals. This is the big developing story. We'll keep tracking these developments. For now, slipping into a very short.
The poor and the needy and the deserving.
Okay, Aishwarya Mahadev, how do you respond to both of these facts that Mr. Prashant and the BJP are saying? Prashant, 1 second, let me go to the other guest. Mr. Prashant and the BJP are saying that A, this is against the fundamental tenets of the Indian Constitution. Our founding fathers of the Constituent Assembly did not want quotas to be based on religion. So how do you justify that? And 2, that poor Muslims are continuing to get quota, the benefits of it under the EWS quota as well as other reservation provisions.
Zaka, good evening. And first of all, I do fear for the job security for the spokesperson, because what he just said is in direct contradiction to what his boss, Mr. Amit Shah, said. And for Mr. Amit Shah should also check who was the chief minister in power when the Muslim quota, or rather as they would like to believe, it's this faith-based quota, was even offered. Zaka, a few clarifications. From the Millers Committee of 1921 to the Chinnappa Reddy Committee, the classification to give reservation for Muslims was not based on faith. 1. It was based on acute social and educational backwardness, which has been upheld in subsequent reports as well. When the AG and when they tried to mislead the court, Justice Nagratna herself said, you are making lies and this is fallacious, because the fact is the Muslim community was not getting any reservation based on faith. It was based on socio and economic backwardness that has been reiterated in several other reports. Second, Zaka, I'm going to tell you how this is a complete fraud on everybody in Karnataka. This cabinet decision on reservations, none of this will even pass and happen for 2 reasons. 1, you have breached the 50% cap while the center has not allowed you to do so. So your SC/ST reservations will not take hold. Second, for any reclassification of any OBC communities and any categorization, you need 3 things to be done. Otherwise, this will be void. 1, you need empirical data. 2, you need to have a final backward classes commission report. That has not happened. And 3, you need a socio-economic census, none of which have been done. None of the actions of the BJP government are actually going to come to fruition. It is mere electioneering, and it is a ploy which is a fraud upon the aspirations of all communities.
No, so
it is
no.
not
If
only on
it is an election ploy, no. Once again, Aishwarya, one second. Let me ask Aishwarya. If it's an election ploy, as you're saying, then how are you going to respond to it electorally? Because the BJP has thrown the gauntlet at you. They are saying that, look, Congress brings in quotas for Muslims. We take away that quota and we give it to Vokoligas and to Lingayats. We are the only ones who care about the Hindus. Congress only cares about the Muslims.
You know, Zaka, it is so unfortunate that the BJP is so bankrupt and deprived of any issues of development that this is what they've resorted to. The Kannadigas in my state have lived peacefully, and today you've taken 4% from one community and piecemeal divided it to 2 other communities that were asking you for 15 and 12% respectively. The Congress's response is this. We believe social justice is one of the most important responsibilities of any political party. We're saying remove the 50% cap. We're saying we will have a better socio-economic census to ensure all communities are adequately represented. And we've also asked the central government to take the onus on releasing this census data. The Karnataka Congress stands for social justice for all, not for pluck for one and throw at the other or pull from the other.
No, but Aishwarya, you still haven't answered my question. I'll ask Syed Aslam and then also to... No, one second, sir. One second. I need to go to 2 other guests. There are 4 guests on this show. So let me go to guest number 3, Mr. Syed Aslam of the JDS. Aishwarya has not answered this question, but I'm going to ask you this. Fundamentally, the problem with the Muslim quota, even as Aishwarya argues, it was not based on religion or faith. It was based on socio-economic backward status. The fundamental problem was that socio-economic backward status was for people of one faith. That 4%, if you were socially and economically backward but not from the Muslim faith, you were not entitled to that 4% quota. Now, please tell me, Syed Aslam, why that should not be seen legally as a violation of the fundamental tenet of the Constitution that you cannot have quotas based on religion.
Well, Zaka, let me give you a very valid response to the stats. The Saddening committee report has categorically said the Muslim community, with respect to socio-economic and educational status, is behind the SC community. Let me give you some stats. The youth between the age of 15 to 24. Yeah. Okay. I think.
No, go on. I can hear you.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, Zaka, let me give you some stats. Some empirical evidence as well. Zaka, in the Sachar committee report, it was categorically told that the Muslim community's economic, socio-economic and educational status is worse than the SC community. Let me give you some stats. Between the age of 15 and 24, the youth who have enrolled in the educational institution is just 39%, versus the youth who have enrolled in the SC community in the educational institutions is 44%, and the OBC community is 51%.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. The big story that we're tracking: in yet another Naxal attack in Chhattisgarh's Dantewada today, at least 10 Jawans of the District Reserve Guard, along with the driver, have been martyred. The Naxals attacked on the DRG force while the team was in an anti-Naxal operation in Aranpur district of Dantewada. Post the attack, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel expressed condolences and also said that anti-Naxal operations are in the last leg in the state. None of the Naxalites involved in the attack will be spared. The Chief Minister has also had a conversation with the Home Minister Amit Shah, who's assured of all possible help as far as the centre is concerned. Condolences to the bereaved families have also been given. These are sketchy details, but more details of explosives being used and others now emerging. Our colleagues now joining us on the broadcast. We have Srinivas, who is joining us live from Jagdalpur in Bastar. Arunama also joining us on the broadcast. Srinivas, पहले मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी, अभी डिटेल्स काफी स्केची हैं, पर अभी तक क्या जानकारी सामने आई है? जो पहली तस्वीरें सामने आई हैं, उससे लगता है एक हाई इंटेंसिटी ब्लास्ट था, क्वांटिटी ऑफ एक्सप्लोसिव्स भी काफी हाई था. क्या जानकारी है आपके पास?
कितना विस्फोट जबरदस्त रहा होगा, क्योंकि जो है करीब जो है 5 फीट से ज़्यादा जो है गड्ढा यहाँ पर हो गया, और ये जो है मुख्य सड़क है, ये अरनपुर से पालना होते हुए जो है सीधे दंतेवाड़ा कुआकोंडा को जोड़ती है और इसी मार्ग पर जो है आगे जरगुंडा स्थित है। यहाँ पर बताया जाता है कि फोर्स जब यहाँ से जो है यहाँ से गुजर रही थी उस दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने एक आईडी ब्लास्ट किया है। ब्लास्ट के दौरान जो है जवानों की शहादत हुई है। सभी चांडक, न्यूज़ 18, दंतेवाड़ा।
So as we pointed out, details are still sketchy. What we're understanding, there was a DRG force that was on its way back after an anti-Naxal operation. They had some sort of an intel when an ambush was laid out for them, and unfortunately that resulted in 10 Jawans being martyred and one driver of the vehicle also losing his life. Let's also bring in Arunma also on the conversation. Arunma, what are your sources on the ground telling you? What really happened? Why were SOPs not followed? Was this an intel that the Naxals then had that the same route is going to be followed and thus an ambush was laid?
As far as standard operating procedures goes, there is always a difference between what is taught to you in the classroom and what you ultimately follow while you're carrying out the operation. So we'll have to wait and see whether this was an oversight of not following that SOP, or there was something on the ground which forced the leader of the DRG group to take this decision. Why are we saying this? Because the two SOPs that are often advised to people on the ground is avoid traveling in a vehicle when you're in an operation, because if a blast happens, you have no way to escape. And if you see the remains of that vehicle, the severity of the impact can be gauged from the way mangled remains of that truck is left. Imagine the impact then on human body. The second SOP that you're usually taught on ground is that if you're taking route A while going up, don't take the same route while coming down, take another route, because Naxals could be sitting in ambush. In this case, sources indicate that this was a pressure bomb which went off, which means that this was an improvised explosive device that was not triggered by a timer. There was not somebody sitting with a remote or, putting together wires after spotting a truck. It is unfortunate that the weight of the truck itself, when the front wheel fell on that IED, it got triggered by the pressure, by the weight of the truck itself. So again, that's a matter of investigation. Whether this pressure bomb was placed there when the DRG team went up, did the Naxals observe them and then put that IED, the pressure bomb there? Or, as we have often seen, when roads are constructed in Naxal areas, Naxals at that point itself, during road construction itself, place IEDs, place pressure bombs, hoping that at some point a military vehicle would cross, a paramilitary vehicle will cross, and there will be injury or casualty. So all of this is a matter of investigation. At this stage, what we know for sure is that there was intelligence of Naxal presence in Aranpur, based on which this DRG team went there. They were coming back when their truck was blown off, and all 10 and the driver were killed.
Arunma, we'll just request you to stay on with us. Our colleague Srinivas, in fact, can now hear us. He, in fact, is joining us from Jagdalpur in Bastar. Srinivas, आपके पास किस तरह की जानकारी है? जो पहले तस्वीरें सामने आ रही हैं, उससे पता चल रहा है कि काफ़ी हाई एक्सप्लोसिव्स, हाई इंटेंसिटी ब्लास्ट था, एक्सप्लोसिव्स की क्वांटिटी भी काफ़ी हाई थी. आपके पास क्या जानकारी है? किस तरह की एक्सप्लोसिव्स यूज़ हुई है इस ब्लास्ट में? श्रीनिवास, आपको आवाज आ रही है?
जी बिल्कुल, ये जो घटना हुआ था स्वाभाविक है। इस घटना में माओवादी ने बड़ा ही आईडी प्लांट किया था और इस आईडी प्लांट करने से जो नुकसान हुआ तो सामने ही नुकसान की तस्वीर सामने आ गई है। ये जो आईडी प्लांट है, माओवादी ने काफ़ी पहले आईडी को प्लांट किया था और आज जो डीआरजी के जवान हैं ये सर्चिंग पे निकले थे और सर्चिंग के दौरान जब माओवादी जवानों को सूचना मिली कि बड़ी संख्या में माओवादी इलाके में मौजूद है तो उनको घेरने के लिए जवान की टीम निकली थी और उसके बाद जवानों और पुलिस के बीच में मुठभेड़ भी हुई है। मुठभेड़ के बाद जब ये जवान लौट रहे थे तभी एक जो निजी वाहन है, प्राइवेट वाहन में सवार होकर आ रहे थे, तभी आईडी की चपेट में जो गाड़ी आ गया और ये ब्लास्ट हो गया। ब्लास्ट में 10 जवान शहीद हो गए हैं और एक जो सिविलियन है उसकी भी डेथ हुई है। फिलहाल इलाके की सर्चिंग तेज कर दी है, अतिरिक्त बल को भेजा गया है और जो पुलिस के जो उच्च अधिकारी है वो घटनास्थल के लिए मौके के लिए रवाना हो गए हैं। जी
श्रीनिवास, जो आप बता रहे हैं वो काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो आप कह रहे हैं कि जब ये डीआरजी फोर्स थी, Srinivas, we'll just request you to stay on with us. अब हमारे साथ बने रहिए. We're getting some other ground reports also coming in. Let's take a look.
टीसीओसी के दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने आज एक बड़ी घटना को अंजाम दिया है और इस वक्त हम दंतेवाड़ा जिले के समेली इलाके में मौजूद हैं, जहां पर माओवादियों ने आज जो है देर शाम को जो है एक आईडी ब्लास्ट की है, जिसमें एक जवानों से भरी जो पिकअप है वो ब्लास्ट की चपेट में आ गई है, जिसमें जवानों की शहादत हुई है। जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं कि जो ये रोड है और यहाँ बहुत ही इतना विस्फोट भयानक था कि देख सकते हैं आप, गड्ढा देख के अंदाज़ा लगाया जा सकता है कि कितना जो है यहाँ पर भारी विस्फोट हुआ होगा, क्योंकि ये इलाका जो है काफ़ी जो है नक्सल प्रभावित इलाका है। लेकिन बस्तर में जो है तीनों ज़िलों में अगर हम माओवादियों की जो इलाके में कंपेयर करें तो जो है दंतेवाड़ा जो है वो काफ़ी सेफ माना जाता है। और इस वक्त जो है आप देख सकते हैं कि कितना विस्फोट ज़बरदस्त रहा होगा, क्योंकि जो है करीब जो है 5 फीट से ज़्यादा जो है गड्ढा यहाँ पर हो गया। और ये जो है मुख्य सड़क है, ये अरनपुर से पालनार होते हुए जो है सीधे दंतेवाड़ा कुआकोंडा को जोड़ती है। और इसी मार्ग पर जो है आगे जरगुंडा स्थित है। यहाँ पर बताया जाता है कि फोर्स जब यहाँ से जो है यहाँ से गुजर रही थी, उस दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने एक आईडी ब्लास्ट किया है। ब्लास्ट के दौरान जो है जवानों की शहादत हुई है। सतीश चांडक, न्यूज़ 18, दंतेवाड़ा।
So more details now emerging. We got you those ground reports, the first pictures to show you the intensity of that blast. What you can essentially see is that entire road has been blown up and what is left of the vehicle is just a skeleton. Srinivas and Arunama continue to be with us. Srinivas, मैं आपसे ये पूछ रही थी कि अभी जिस तरह की तस्वीरें सामने आ रही हैं उससे ये लग रहा है कि क्वांटिटी ऑफ एक्सप्लोसिव्स भी काफ़ी था और एक हाई इंटेंसिटी ब्लास्ट भी था। पर हमारी काफ़ी कॉलीग्स ये बता रहे हैं कि कुछ तरह के स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर्स फॉलो नहीं हुए हैं। आप कुछ देर पहले बता रहे थे ये एक मुठभेड़ भी हुई थी माओइस्ट और जो डीआरजी की फोर्स थी, उस किस तरह की इंटेल थी डीआरजी फोर्स पे और किस तरह का इनपुट था उनके पास कि किस तरह का प्रेजेंस है माओइस्ट का इस एरिया में?
जी बिल्कुल, सुरक्षा बलों को ये जानकारी मिली थी कि माओवादी की होने की खबर है, जिसके बाद सुरक्षा बल की एक टीम रवाना हुई थी दंतेवाड़ा के अरनपुर इलाके, पालना इलाके में। चूँकि वो इलाका काफ़ी घंघोर है और वहाँ पर जो नेटवर्क की समस्या भी काफ़ी रहती है। इसके बाद जब जवान वहाँ पहुँचे थे और माओवादी की होने की खबर मिलने के बाद दोनों ओर से कुछ देर फायरिंग भी होने की खबरें जो जानकारी सामने आ रही है। जिसके बाद जो सुरक्षा बल के जवान हैं वो वापस आ रहे थे एक निजी वाहन पे, एक प्राइवेट वाहन पे। और उसके बाद ही जो आईडी है जो माओवादी ने जो प्लांट किया था, एक काफ़ी एक्सक्लूसिव आईडी है। माओवादी इसको प्लांट बहुत काफ़ी पहले किए हैं, ऐसी जानकारी भी मिल रही है। और ये जैसे ही वाहन इसके जद में आया, आईडी के जद में आया, तो उसी समय ब्लास्ट हुआ। मैं आपको बता दूं कि माओवादी हमेशा जो ये TCOC महा रहता है, टैक्टिकल काउंटर FN कैंपेन जो रहता है, इस दौरान माओवादी बड़ी घटनाओं को अंजाम देने की कोशिश में लगे रहते हैं। और इससे पहले भी जो घटना हुई है इसी दौरान हुई है। तो एक बार फिर सुरक्षा बलों को काफी नुकसान हुआ है, हमारे जवान शहादत हुए हैं। जी
श्रीनिवास हमारे साथ बने रहिए। वी गेटिंग सम अदर ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट्स आल्सो, लेट्स टेक अ लुक।
बस्तर के दक्षिण बस्तर के 3 जिले दंतेवाड़ा, सुकमा और बीजापुर, जिसमें दंतेवाड़ा को जो है सबसे सेफ जोन माना जाता था। लेकिन जो ये इलाका है समेली और अरनपुर का जो इलाका है, ये माओवादियों से प्रभावित इलाका है। और बताया जाता है कि आज सुबह DRG के जवान इसी इलाके के गश्त पे थे और सुबह जो है माओवादियों के साथ एक मुठभेड़ भी हुई थी, ऐसी सूचना मिल रही है। और फिलहाल जो है माओवादियों ने एक बड़े घात को अंजाम देते हुए जो है एक आईडी ब्लास्ट की है, जिसमें जवान शहीद हो गए हैं। और इस वक्त जो है घटनास्थल पर यहाँ पर एम्बुलेंस जो है काफ़ी संख्या में एम्बुलेंस बुलाई गई है, जिसमें जो है शहीद जवानों का पार्थिव जो है शरीर वो भेजा जा रहा है। उसके साथ साथ जो है घायल जवान है उनको जो है यहाँ से दंतेवाड़ा ले जाया जा रहा है। और इस वक्त घटनास्थल पर हम मौजूद है। जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं कि हमारे पीछे दंतेवाड़ा के जो SP है सिद्धार्थ तिवारी, वो पहुँच चुके हैं। और साथ साथ जो है बीजापुर के SP जो है आंजनेय वेस्ट, वो घटनास्थल पर पहुँच चुके हैं। यहाँ पर जवानों के काफ़ी संख्या में जवान तैनात है और यहाँ पर लगातार जो है एम्बुलेंस यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं। यहाँ से जो है घायलों को यहाँ से बाहर निकाला जा रहा है, दंतेवाड़ा भेजा जा रहा है। और इसके अलावा यहाँ पर लगातार जो है अधिकारियों का भी आना जाना शुरू हो चुका है। और बताया जाता है कि जवान जो है यहाँ से पिकअप की वाहन में सवार होकर यहाँ से गुजर थे। उस दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने एक आईडी ब्लास्ट की, जिसकी चपेट में जवान है और साथ साथ में एक जो है वाहन चालक भी चपेट में आया। सतीश चांडक, न्यूज़ 18, दंतेवाड़ा।
So as we could see in that ground report, and just to reiterate for our viewers, the DRG force which was on its way back when an ambush was laid for them, which unfortunately resulted in 10 Jawans being martyred and the driver of the vehicle also losing his life. Arunama also continues to be with us. Arunama, because details are still sketchy at this point, what are sources telling you? What possible explosives could have been used in an attack like this, which was so high intensity that the entire road has been blown off?
Well, too early to say. I mean, I wouldn't spell out RDX because we have not known in the past of Naxals having ever used RDX. But if that high grade of explosive has been used. It looks like a very high grade and high quantity of explosive was packed into it. Usually Naxals rely on locally procured explosives. You know, there are a lot of mines in this particular area. There is a lot of mining activity that goes on, and in those mines for explosions and for mining, you do require high grade explosives. So was this some kind of a industrial use explosive that was smuggled out by Naxals or utilized in this pressure bomb? We are told that the National Forensic Laboratory team could go there. NSG's bomb data center is also likely to be present in Dantewada by tomorrow late evening or maybe afternoon. So they will be able to pick up samples from the spot, and only then we will know for sure what was this explosive used. But yes, what you see in these pictures and videos that we have got from the ground shows you that it was a very high intensity blast. The entire top side of the road is blown off. There's a huge crater there. The vehicle, the remains of the vehicle show that this is only you know, what is left is the bare metal of that vehicle. Nothing else remains. The bodies also, you can imagine the impact on human body because of this. We'll have to wait for the assessment of the investigating agencies.
True.
But what we do know is that there was specific intelligence of Naxal presence, and what colleagues on the grounds are indicating is that this DRG team actually came in contact with the Naxals. So the intelligence was correct about Aranpur spotting Naxals, based on which this DRG team was sent. There was gunfire exchange, and then the DRG team lost track of the Naxals. They either fled or went into the jungles and stopped firing. Was this a trap is what we need to know now. Did they drag the DRG team out and then put an IED there which ended up in this explosion? Or was the DRG team plain unlucky that this pressure bomb was there lying, and they, unluckily their vehicle just landed up on that. So we'll have to wait for the investigation to tell us more about what really happened there.
Arunama, we'll just request you to stay on with us before we play out some other ground reports. A tweet that has been put out by the Prime Minister also, and I'm reading out from that tweet. It says, strongly condemn the attack on the Chhattisgarh police in Dantewada. I pay my tributes to the brave personnel we lost in the attack. Their sacrifice will always be remembered. My condolences to the bereaved families. So a lot of reactions coming in. The Home Minister has also had a conversation with the Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, and the assurance that has come in from the Chief Minister is that all those who are behind this Maoist attack will in fact not be spared. This is the big developing story that we continue to track at this hour. It's a wrap from my side. News continues here with Nation at 5.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching The Nation at 5. I'm Anusha Sonia. Top focus this hour, the dastardly attack in Dantewada. This is yet another Naxal attack in Chhattisgarh Dantewada, which is the epicenter of the Maoist activities for decades now. At least 10 soldiers of the District Reserve Guard along with a driver were martyred. The Naxals attacked the DRG forces while the team was in an anti-Naxal operation in the Aranpur district of Dantewada. Post the attack, you have Chief Minister Mr. Bhupesh Baghel, who has come out, given a statement. There's a statement from the State Home Minister as well. Union Home Ministry and Home Minister Amit Shah personally dialed to the Chief Minister and assured him of all the possible help. The SOP is being followed, combing operations. Right now, there are multiple ambulances which are on the spot to ensure that many lives can be saved, as many lives as possible. Also, what we are hearing is that the kind of explosives and the quantity of explosives that were used was huge in nature. We'll continue getting you all the details. This is a ground report that my colleagues get for you from Ground Zero. Have a look.
तीसी ओसी के दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने आज एक बड़ी घटना को अंजाम दिया है और इस वक्त हम दंतेवाड़ा जिले के समेली इलाके में मौजूद हैं, जहां पर माओवादियों ने आज जो है देर शाम को जो है एक आईडी ब्लास्ट की है, जिसमें एक जवानों से भरी जो पिकअप है वो ब्लास्ट की चपेट में आ गई है, जिसमें जवानों की शहादत हुई है। जैसे कि आप देख सकते हैं कि जो ये रोड है और यहाँ बहुत ही इतना विस्फोट भयानक था कि देख सकते हैं आप, गड्ढा देख के अंदाज़ा लगाया जा सकता है कि कितना जो है यहाँ पर भारी विस्फोट हुआ होगा, क्योंकि ये इलाका जो है काफ़ी जो है नक्सल प्रभावित इलाका है। लेकिन बस्तर में जो है तीनों ज़िलों में अगर हम माओवादियों की जो इलाके में कंपेयर करें तो जो है दंतेवाड़ा जो है वो काफ़ी सेफ माना जाता है। और इस वक्त जो है आप देख सकते हैं कि कितना विस्फोट ज़बरदस्त रहा होगा, क्योंकि जो है करीब जो है 5 फीट से ज़्यादा जो है गड्ढा यहाँ पर हो गया। और ये जो है मुख्य सड़क है, ये अरनपुर से पालना होते हुए जो है सीधे दंतेवाड़ा कुआकोंडा को जोड़ती है और इसी मार्ग पर जो है आगे जरगुंडा स्थित है। यहाँ पर बताया जाता है कि फोर्स जब यहाँ से जो है यहाँ से गुजर रही थी, उस दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने एक आईडी ब्लास्ट किया है। ब्लास्ट के दौरान जो है जवानों की शहादत हुई है। बस्तर के दक्षिण बस्तर के 3 जिले दंतेवाड़ा, सुकमा और बीजापुर, जिसमें दंतेवाड़ा को जो है सबसे सेफ जोन माना जाता था, लेकिन जो ये इलाका है समेली और अरनपुर का जो इलाका है ये माओवादियों से प्रभावित इलाका है। और बताया जाता है कि आज सुबह DRG के जवान इसी इलाके के गश्त पे थे और सुबह जो है माओवादियों के साथ एक मुठभेड़ भी हुई थी, ऐसी सूचना मिल रही है। और फिलहाल जो है माओवादियों ने एक बड़े घात को अंजाम देते हुए जो है एक ID ब्लास्ट की है, जिसमें जवान शहीद हो गए हैं। और इस वक्त जो है घटनास्थल पर यहाँ पर एम्बुलेंस जो है काफ़ी संख्या में एम्बुलेंस बुलाई गई है, जिसमें जो है शहीद जवानों का पार्थिव जो है शरीर वो भेजा जा रहा है। उसके साथ साथ जो है घायल जवान है उनको जो है यहाँ से दंतेवाड़ा ले जाया जा रहा है। और इस वक्त घटनास्थल पर हम मौजूद है। जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं कि हमारे पीछे दंतेवाड़ा के जो SP है सिद्धार्थ तिवारी वो पहुँच चुके हैं और साथ साथ जो है बीजापुर के SP जो है आंजनेय वेस्ट वो घटनास्थल पहुँच चुके हैं। यहाँ पर जवानों के काफ़ी संख्या में जवान तैनात है और यहाँ पर लगातार जो है एम्बुलेंस यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं। यहाँ से जो है घायलों को यहाँ से बाहर निकाला जा रहा है, दंतेवाड़ा भेजा जा रहा है। और इसके अलावा यहाँ पर लगातार जो है अधिकारियों का भी आना जाना शुरू हो चुका है। और बताया जाता है कि जवान जो है यहाँ से पिकअप की वाहन में सवार होकर यहाँ से गुजर रहे थे। उस दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने एक ID ब्लास्ट की, जिसकी चपेट में जवान है और साथ साथ में एक जो है वाहन चालक भी चपेट में आया है।
इस प्रकार की जानकारी है और ये बेहद दुखद है। और हमारे जो जवान शहीद हुए हैं उसके परिवार के प्रति संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूँ। लेकिन जो ये लड़ाई है वो अंतिम दौर पे चल रहा है और नक्सलियों को किसी सूरत में छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा और निश्चित रूप से उस योजनाबद्ध ढंग से बना के ये नक्सलवाद को ही समाप्त करेंगे।
अपनी जानकारी थी, DRG के जवान रवाना किए गए थे, सर्चिंग के बाद लौट रहे थे तो ID ब्लास्ट किया गया है, जिसमें 10 जवान और एक ड्राइवर की मृत्यु हुई है। कुल 11 लोगों की शहीद हुए हैं 11 लोग, ऐसी जानकारी अभी मिल रही है। एक्स्ट्रा फोर्स सपोर्टिंग फोर्स रवाना कर दिया गया है। कुछ समय पश्चात जब वो आ जाएंगे और सपोर्टिंग पार्टी चली जाएगी तब विस्तृत जानकारी मिलेगी।
Well, here's some context to what has happened. This is not just a one-off attack that we have witnessed. The state of Chhattisgarh has been marred by Naxal attacks almost every year. The recent one that we've reported today that we're talking about right now on the 26th of April 2023, where 11 security personnel have been killed in an ID attack in Dantewada. The numbers could go up. That's the apprehension. April 2021, we witnessed about 22 security personnel losing their lives at the Bijapur-Sukmapur border area where an attack was witnessed. Back in March 2020, 17 police personnel were killed in Sukma, and in February 2020, you had 2 Cobra commandos who were killed in Bijapur. Back in April 2015, 7 elite special task force personnel were killed in Bastar. These are the districts which largely have been affected. These are the major attacks that we are enumerating for you in the last 7 to 8 years. But what is the overall picture? What has the political leadership yielded to us so far, and what is the security situation on the ground? The Naxal threat and the level of violence have certainly reduced in the last 10 years, significantly. The improvement in the insurgency situation has been significant, especially between 2018 and 2021, the figures of Ministry of Home Affairs, if you look at them. The number of Maoist affected districts, especially in Chhattisgarh, has reduced. The red corridor is indeed shrinking. Here is why. The centre and the states have come together to bring down Naxalism. There is better coordination between these two governments that has helped the situation on the ground. The red corridor area, or the areas which are controlled by the Naxals, have significantly reduced. The number of villages are coming down. Let's also talk about the development initiatives that the state government and the union government have taken. Both these governments have come together, and you have better healthcare, better education facilities in these extremely backward areas, which have helped the local population to integrate better with the government efforts. And these enhanced facilities in the Naxal affected areas is one of the steps that the government is taking in their holistic plan. The Narendra Modi-led union government, the central government, has been repeatedly storming the Maoist bastion. You have Home Minister Amit Shah, who, in a significant symbolism of sorts, visited the Naxal-affected areas in Chhattisgarh. He had his visit in Sukma, in Jagdalpur, and in multiple other areas. Well, here are some numbers. Between 2013 and 2021, the Naxal violence has reduced by about 55%, and the Naxal-related deaths, including the security personnel, has come down by 63%. So those are the numbers that tell you the story that yes, we have done very well politically from the security point of view as far as controlling Naxalism and bringing down urgency. But when it comes to complete elimination from the ground, that is still quite some distance away. And that's exactly the distance that the political establishment of the day and the security forces will have to travel. That's the broader context in which we present this story to you. Let me cut across to our guests who are joining us on the broadcast. Major General A.K. Sivach, who's a defense expert, Patikrit Payne, who's a security analyst. Both are joining us on the broadcast. Patikrit, good evening. First to you. How do you see this latest attack? Of course, and unfortunately not the first one or won't be the last one. The timing of it, is there anything peculiar you find about this?
Anusha, let me tell you something. I have seen these things operating with my own eyes. As a journalist, almost more than a decade back, I've seen these directional mines, and I know the way they explode. I have seen them being, being done controlled detonation by the Central Police Forces to make sure that they get neutralized. But they're extremely dangerous. In most cases, they use urea and ammonium nitrate. Let me tell you a few things. Yes, the Naxals are down, but they're not out. And the government has done a commendable job in the last 1 decade in terms of, storming their bastions. But it has come at a huge price. There are so many who have lost their lives. We actually hear mostly about the Central Police Forces, but DRG or STF, these are forces. The state police forces, they're tribals. They also have done, they've given up a lot. There are a few things that I want to make it very clear. Number one, the Naxals or the Maoists, they are very ruthless. Okay, they don't even mind to cut open the body of a dead Jawan, put in an IED, stew it back so that when it is taken to the hospital for postmortem, there's an explosion that can happen and even doctors can die. This kind of incidents have happened in Chhattisgarh. So the Maoists have no qualms about being very ruthless. In fact, after every attack like this, they send kids and women to cut the bodies to pieces, to take away the weapons and to actually instill fear. In spite of all this, the CRPF and the state police forces have done a commendable job all the time, but they have no qualms in terms of using ruthlessness, but the state still have a little bit of doubt. We still think they are our own people, but they are not. They are terrorists, and they have to be dealt in the most ruthless manner. Two things. There's a limit what you can do when you have mines like this. Yeah. Especially if these are pressure mines. So the best way out is this, and I don't know why the states don't do it. The Central Police Forces have started doing it. They use two-wheelers. I have seen Central Police Force contingents going in two-wheelers, keeping distance from each other. Yeah. In that case, pressure mines do not work. In that case, your casualty levels are very limited.
Patikrit, on that note, in fact, I remember just some time ago, my colleague Arunima, she covers the home affairs, and she was pointing this fact that you said, that the use of trucks in these Naxal-affected areas is discouraged by the administration. They are advised repeatedly that you have to make sure that you don't use these vehicles because they are more prone to attacks of this nature, like you pointed out. Major General Sivach, good evening. Taking these points to you. Arunima is also with us, I'm told, on the broadcast. Before Major General Sivach, let me quickly take in a word from Arunima as well. She'll be able to tell us the latest details that she's picking up. Arunima, as far as investigation so far is concerned, I understand these are preliminary details, but what is it that you can tell our viewers at this point in time? What does it look like? What is the modus operandi? What are you picking up?
Well, it's very clear that it is a Naxal attack. What we are not clear is whether this IED was placed because the Naxals knew this DRG vehicle was moving up and would come back via the same road, or did they just put it there, this pressure bomb, as we are being told, this was just put there at the road construction stage, because often Naxals do that when roads are being constructed in Dantewada, in Sukhma, in Bijapur, in Narayanpur, and there is a lot of infrastructural development. There are a lot of camps which are coming up because areas which so far were called liberated zone, areas where there was no government presence, no Anganwadi, school, any camp. They didn't even know what a government representative looked like. Yeah. Now in those areas, there is area domination that is going on, which means you don't just go to that area and eliminate the Naxal presence. You ensure that you continue to be there. One such area was Sukhma, where Home Minister went, just at the start of last month. Sure. And he went there and went deep inside what was once Naxal territory. So this attack which has happened, Home Minister also said said this, that it is very clear they're losing ground, and to remain relevant, they have to carry out these attacks. It is TCOC, tactical counter-offensive, that goes on from March up until June before the start of the monsoon. And during this TCOC period, Naxals often want to carry out spectacular attacks so that they remain in headline. This is well part of that TCOC.
This is well part of their TCOC, as Arunima is pointing out. Arunima, thank you so much for getting us all the details. If possible, please continue to stay with us on the broadcast. We carry on this conversation with Pathikrit Payne and Major General A.K. Sivach, who are with us on the show. Major General Sivach, coming to you. As my colleague was pointing out, that increasingly with time, the Naxal affected area, the red corridor, has shrunk. Whether it's arms and ammunitions or major supply, the supply of money, all those important nexus have been disrupted by the government agencies, and rightly so that this insurgency can be brought down in the areas. Which are the quarters where they continue to remain strong? And more importantly, when it comes to arms and ammunitions, are they still getting the kind of support that they had perhaps a decade ago? Has there been a renewed push to make them relevant again? Because this is TCOC, a counter operation that they want to do to remain relevant in the public and in the political domain.
Very correct. You see, the 2-3 things stand out.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Over a period of time, especially in last 10 years, when the present government has come, the complete area which was there under the Naxal, which was the red corridor, has almost become 1/10 of it. There are hardly districts which are left where there is a Naxal operating. I do agree the Naxal is down but not out. So there are certain pockets which are still there of a Naxal dominated. Now, what happened is they have changed their strategy and tactics. They are on the back foot, no doubt. They want to remain relevant. So their strategy is that strike with might and catch the headline. Now, as far as this operation is concerned, what has happened is this Dantewada Bastar area is on a triangle of the 3 states. And that is where they always go for it, because it is very difficult to operate by the state forces, because this is on a border area. Here the Central Armed Police Force plays a major role. But certainly over a period of time, the government has taken a multi-pronged strategy. They have ensured that, especially the Home Minister has said, there has to be coordination between all the state police force as well as central government agency. There will be no one-upship, and intelligence must be shared. So that also has been taken care of. The other area where the point has been done is that overall development of this area is important. The roads have come, the schools have come, the hospitals have come, the net is coming, and this district reserve guard which is there is the son of the soil. The people from the same area has been taken in. So the question which is coming is that if you have to fight the Maoist or the Naxal infested area, then shrink that area by developing that area. You cannot.
And sir, when the Home Minister recently visited Jagdalpur and various other affected districts, in fact, there was a special visit that was done at a local school. There was a special visit that was done at a primary healthcare center. There was interaction that was done with various locals, and all of this in line with increasing the government's communication with the locals to cut the base for these insurgents. Pathikrit, would it be correct to say that on multiple issues, the center versus the state politics might be the reality of this country, but at least on this particular issue, when it comes to the Chhattisgarh state government, which is a Congress government right now, and the union government at the center, there has been a good coordination between the two. That has been the state for the last 10 years. Absolutely. And that has helped on the ground. Pathikrit.
Anusha, I completely agree. There has been a lot of coordination, better convergence in the objectives of the center, and many of the states, including Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, they have this Dandakaranya region, which includes the border of all the 4. Let me tell you something very tactical things. Number one, the Maoists have huge limitation of bullets. So that's the reason they use these IEDs, because IEDs, these are made of urea and ammonium nitrate, which are easily available as fertilizers. There's a dedicated wing of NIA which has been created to cut down and hunt down these sorts of explosives. Now, explosives which they get out of from commercial zones, they have been a complete curtail down considerably. But urea, when you have fertilizers easily available, it's a challenge. Second thing, it's very important. Beyond the point, Anusha, it's very difficult to stop it unless you have these two-wheelers, as I was mentioning. Even mine protection vehicles are, difficult to are absolutely an impossible thing to contain the, an attack like this if the amount of explosive is around 50 kg or above that, around 80 kg. So going in a pickup vehicle is like a suicide. And two important things. I don't understand why the states do not use some kind of a drone to go first before the convoy to find out what's the situation. Because if it is a remotely detonated IED, then somebody would be there around. And if it is a pressure detonated thing, in that case, the two-wheelers will be better because the pressure will not be good enough to create an explosion. Last point, Anusha, beyond the point, you have to have drone strikes, if not fighter planes used. This is a different kind of a war game. You cannot think beyond the point that they will actually, improve and you can correct them and they'll come into the mainstream. There are very, very, violent ideologies they're following and they're willing to die. And unfortunately, the tribals are dying, because of which I think the government has to take a stand that beyond the point, we would use aerial strike if it's necessary. Enough life has been lost, Anusha. The government has done enough work.
That's a very candid submission that you're making, Patikrit. I'll take those points to Arunima as well as to what the thinking is within the Union Home Ministry about this issue, because they are the concerned authorities who can take that call, whether there's a need to change the warfare in these Naxal affected areas. Here's what the IG Bastar had to say.
दंतेवाड़ा डीआरजी द्वारा एक अभियान संचालित की गई थे। अभियान के पश्चात तब जिला मुख्यालय दंतेवाड़ा वापस लौटा रहे थे। इस दौरान आरनपुर एवं समेली के बीच में डीआरजी गाड़ी को आईडी के माध्यम से महोदय द्वारा टारगेट की गई। उस घटना में हमारे एक वाहन आईडी के चपेट में आ गए थे। उसमें 10 डीआरजी जवान एवं एक सिविलियन ड्राइवर, कुल 11 लोग का शहादत हो गई। अतिरिक्त रीइंफोर्समेंट पार्टी सीआरपीएफ एवं डीआरजी घटनास्थल पहुंच गई है। अभी घटनास्थल से सभी शहीदों का बॉडी को इवैक्यूएशन का कार्रवाई की जा रही है। स्पॉट में सीनियर ऑफिसर्स का भी अभी पहुंच गए हैं। अभी लगातार सर्चिंग अभियान जारी है और घटनास्थल की जो निरीक्षण के पश्चात और संपूर्ण विवरण प्राप्त हो सकता है।
Let me cut across to my colleague Arunima, who's with us on the broadcast. Arunima, 2 points. One, what is the kind of help that has been assured from the Union Home Ministry? There's an interesting point that Patikrit Payne was making on the broadcast, and he said perhaps there's a need to reconsider the kind of methods we have adopted in these Naxal affected areas, and if need be, aerial strikes or drones, they should be used. Is there a thinking within the administration on these lines?
Well, if you go by the Naxal propaganda, even as early as last month, towards the end of March, they released a press statement in which they claimed that drones have been used by our security forces to bombard areas which are considered Naxal territory. Of course, these claims are never substantiated by the agencies, either the intelligence agencies or the local police or the paramilitary. But such claims are coming in from the Naxal side time and again, that drones are being used as weapons against Naxals in Naxal infested areas. So drones are very much in the picture. Drones for surveillance. There is a topographical issue there. You know, when it is not the leaves there are huge. If you see the forest there, these are forested areas where the leaf cover is so huge that even if you take a drone, you may not be able to penetrate and see what is happening in the ground. So that is another challenge that they are looking at. Third thing, what about using motorbikes to travel? Yes, that is what the SOP says, that either you travel on foot or go in groups of 2 or 4, keep a distance between the first bike and the second. We do not know in this case what really happened. We'll have to wait for the investigation to tell us. What we are told is that there was intelligence of Naxal presence. That intelligence proved to be correct because ground reports seem to suggest that this group of DRG men came in contact with the Naxals. There were fires that was exchanged, and after that they were coming back. What we now need to find out, and investigators perhaps will tell us, is when they were coming back, were they spotted and this IED, this pressure bomb, placed on the road at that point? Or was this a pre-placed pressure bomb at the stage of road construction, which unfortunately went off when the vehicle stepped over it?
Was it premeditated or was it an accidental blast which was earlier supposed to happen at a development project, and then there was a truck that got trapped there and these Jawans were killed? Investigation will tell us the details. Arunima, thank you for joining us. Before I go back to my guest, here's a ground report that my colleague from News18 Chhattisgarh sends us. Have a look.
पुलिस अधिकारियों की माने तो जो है माओवादियों ने आईडी ब्लास्ट में भारी संख्या में विस्फोट जो है सामग्री का इस्तेमाल किया गया है, और जिस तरह से जो है घटना स्थल पर गड्ढा है उसको देख के तो अंदाजा लगाया जाता है कि माओवादियों ने जो है की जो तैयारी थी ब्लास्ट की काफी पुरानी थी। और जो कि जो आप देख पा रहे हैं कि ये पिकअप का ये इंजन है, चूंकि पूरे वाहन में जो है इंजन है वो काफी हैवी होता है और इंजन करीब जो है ये 50 मीटर दूर आके ये इंजन गिरा है। और इसके अलावा जो है बताया जाता है कि पिकअप वाहन की अन्य जो सामग्री है वो करीब 50 से 60 मीटर दूर गिरा है। और ये पूरा इलाका है, ये आईडी ब्लास्ट से करीब 50 मीटर दूर का इलाका है, जहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर पूरी तरह से यहाँ पर पिकअप वाहन के जो है जो जितने भी सामग्री है वो ब्लास्ट के साथ में उड़कर आई है। और आप जैसे अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि जो वाहन का सबसे भारी भरकम जो होता है वो इंजन होता है। इंजन करीब 50 से 60 मीटर दूर आके गिरा है। इसका मतलब ये है कि विस्फोट जो है काफी तगड़ा होगा। और करीब बताते हैं कि 2:30 बजे ये आईडी ब्लास्ट हुआ। उस वक्त हुआ जब जवान पिकअप वाहन में सवार होकर जब लौट रहे थे, उस दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने जवानों पर जो है घात लगाकर बैठे हुए थे। और जैसे ही जवान जो है विस्फोट जो आईडी प्लांट की गई थी उसके ऊपर से जैसे ही जवान गुजर रहे थे, उस दौरान जो है माओवादी जो है छिपे हुए थे। करीब 100 मीटर दूर से माओवादियों ने वाहन को जो है वाहन की रफ्तार को भांपते हुए आईडी ब्लास्ट की चपेट में एक पिकअप वाहन आ गई, जिसमें 10 जवान शहीद हो गए। सतीश चांडक, न्यूज़ 18, दंतेवाड़ा।
That's the report from the ground, where my colleague is showing you what exactly happened, how it transpired. I want to cut across back to Pathikrit Payne and Major General A.K. Sivach, who continues to be with us on the broadcast. Major General Sivach, coming back to you. There are real life and real problems which are there on the ground. I was talking about the suggestion that whether drones can be deployed in this area, whether a higher technology, better technology can be used in this warfare, that a war that we fight within the country with these insurgents, to ensure that the casualties can be brought down. Bringing down casualties has been the focus, whether it's the state or the center. Have we been successful so far, sir? Major General Sivach.
Anusha, no doubt. We have been successful. You see, over a period of time, there has been coordination between the central government and state government. There is exchange of intelligence. There is no one-upship. And the central government is ready to help out all the state government. Now, having operated in Kashmir Valley for almost 20 years, I can now share with you as to how these sort of operations do take place. Remember that there are road opening which is conducted, and the vehicles only move on these where the road opening is done. And the mine protected vehicle which we are talking about, they were earlier known as a Caspian, which we got it from South Africa. Now, these also can only take explosive not more than 30 kg. If there's explosive more than 50 kg, nothing can be saved. You know, the vehicle has been blown into pieces, it is thrown. But certainly in these areas, even in Kashmir Valley, the best method is to walk. You cannot use vehicles where road opening is not done. Here they have used civil hire transport. We call CST, because when the intelligence is there and you have to act fast, it can be a trap. I feel it was a trap which they have fed you, that there is a real-time intelligence. There are Naxal. So therefore, this DRG has to immediately go and operate, and they use this civil hire transport. And once they went there, there may be a contact. When they were coming back, this is not very clear whether they use the same road or they use the other road. As per the SOP, you are not supposed to use the same route which you have gone in. However, when they come, now there was an ID. To me, it looks that this ID has been planted earlier only. Because if this ID is planted now, this can be easily made out in the road, because the road is metal. So this can be also possible. And very cleverly, they have picked up a vehicle which is the middle of it, convoy. So two vehicle front, two vehicle in this, and the third vehicle has been picked up, so that the chances of getting the vehicle is very high. And they blasted it by
the learned opinion that you're sharing with us, overall, I mean, how the investigation proceeds, what we know from once the details are confirmed, I take the points that you're making. Before I go to Pathikrit, my colleague Satyanarayan is joining us from the ground. He is getting us all the details. He's telling us what exactly happened. Satyanarayan ji, आपसे जानना चाहूंगी, इस समय प्रथम दृष्टा स्टार्टिंग प्रिलिमिनरी इन्वेस्टिगेशन में क्या क्या ऐसे डिटेल्स हैं जो सामने आए हैं, किस तरह की एहतियात है जो पुलिस और प्रशासन बरत रहा है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे ऐसे इलाके हैं, जिले हैं जो नक्सल प्रभावित हैं, राज्य सरकार का स्टेटमेंट क्या है, एक पूरी पिक्चर अगर आप हमें दे सके तो।
जी, आपको बता दूं कि प्रथम दृष्टि से जो है दंतेवाड़ा जिला चूंकि दक्षिण बस्तर का सबसे सेफ जिला माना जाता है कि कंपेयर सुकमा और बीजापुर, क्योंकि दंतेवाड़ा जो जिला है वहां पर कम घटनाएं होती हैं। और इसी लिहाज से जो है आज सुबह डीआरजी की टीम जो है का बताया जाता है कि कल रात के जो है अरनपुर थाना पहुंची थी। वहां पर आज सुबह जो है गश्त करने के बाद जो है वो एक 4 व्हीलर में सवार होकर वापस जो है लौट रही थी, दंतेवाड़ा की ओर लौट रही थी। उस दौरान जो है माओवादियों ने एक सेफ जोन जो जहां माओवादियों ने आईडी ब्लास्ट किया है वो एकदम सेफ जगह है, डामर की सड़क है। पिछले कई सालों से वहां पर जो है हर दिन वहां पर बसें भी चलती हैं, वहां पर लोगों का आना जाना भी चलता है। माओवादियों ने वो जगह चुना और थाना से और कैंप से करीब जो है 2 किलोमीटर दूर माओवादियों ने जो है एक सेफ जोन ढूंढा, जहां पर जो है बताया जाता है कि आईडी जो है माओवादियों ने बहुत पहले लगा रखी थी। उसके बाद जैसी जो है माओवादियों को पता चला कि जवान जो है आज काफी संख्या में कैंप से निकलने वाले हैं, वापस लौटने वाले हैं, उस दौरान जो है करीब जो है 2 से 2:30 बजे के बीच में माओवादी उन्होंने एक ऐसा जगह चुना जहां पर जो है राइट का हिस्सा है वो पूरा जंगल का इलाका है और पूरा काफी घने जंगल है, काफी पेड़ है, और जो लेफ्ट का इलाका है वो काफी थोड़ा मैदानी टाइप का इलाका है। तो वहां पर जैसे ही वाहन पहुंची तो करीब जो है 100 मीटर दूर माओवादी जो है घात लगाकर बैठे थे, वहां से उन्होंने आईडी जो है ब्लास्ट की और उनका जो टाइमिंग था वो इतना तगड़ा था कि जैसे ही जो है वाहन आईडी के ऊपर से गुजरा उस दौरान जो है ब्लास्ट हो गया। ब्लास्ट काफी
सत्यनारायण जी,
गहरा
एक सवाल मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी। हमारी सहयोगी जो अरुणिमा दिल्ली में है वो भी एक सवाल उठा रही थी कि कई बार आईईडी ब्लास्ट इसलिए भी किए जाते हैं क्योंकि आप सड़क को खराब करना चाहते हैं या किसी डेवलपमेंट वर्क को आप नुकसान पहुंचाना चाहते हैं या सरकार की कोई गतिविधि है जिससे आप खुश नहीं है तो आपके निशाने पर वो है। क्या इस व्हीकल को, इस ट्रक को निशाना बनाया गया था? क्या ये प्री मेडिटेटेड था, वेल प्लान था? अभी तक क्या समझ में आ रहा है?
जो अभी समझ में आ रहा है कि ये नक्सलियों का एक प्लान था, क्योंकि जो है लगातार दंतेवाड़ा, बस्तर, जो है दक्षिण बस्तर का खास करके सुकमा, दंतेवाड़ा, बीजापुर इलाके में लगातार जो है कैंप खोले जा रहे हैं। माओवादियों का एक दायरा जो है काफी सीमित होते जा रहा है और इसलिए जो है माओवादी जो है अब आमने सामने की लड़ाई न लड़कर इस तरह के जो है आईडी प्लांट करते हैं। आईडी प्लांट में जो है माओवादियों को नुकसान नहीं होता है और जवानों को ज्यादा नुकसान होता है। अक्सर इलाकों में जो है माओवादी जैसी जवान माओवादी इलाके पहुंचते हैं तो कई बार जो है वहाँ की आईडी जो है जो पहले से प्लांट रहती है वो आईडी बरामद होती है। हम देखते हैं कि अक्सर जो है जवान हर दिन की आड़ में जो है जंगलों से आईडी बरामद करते हैं, क्योंकि अब जो है माओवादी जो है आईडी के जरिए एक जो है अब युद्ध लड़ रहे हैं और ये माओवादियों का जो है प्री प्लान था, पहले से ये प्लान था, वहां पर आईडी जो है पहले से लगाई हुई थी। जी
सत्यनारायण जी, अक्सर ये बोला जाता है और कोई भी विशेषज्ञ हमें बता देगा कि एहतियात ये होती है कि आप यहाँ पे ट्रक या 4 पहिया वाहन लेकर ना जाएं। कोशिश ये रहती है कि आप 2 पहिया वाहन से जाएं क्योंकि वहाँ पे खतरा कम होता है, इस तरह के ब्लास्ट नहीं हो सकते। क्या कोई पहले सिक्योरिटी ड्रिल करी गई थी? जब ये ट्रक निकला उसके पहले एहतियात तो ली गई होगी। क्या कोई लैप्स है जो अभी तक समझ में आ रहा है?
अक्सर इन इलाकों में जैसी जब जवान मूवमेंट करते हैं तो उससे पहले जो है एक आरोपी निकाली जाती है। आरोपी जो है लोकल थाना से और लोकल पार्टी की जो उनको क्लियर करते हुए जाती है, तो साथ में जो है डॉग भी रहते हैं, उसके जो है डिटेक्ट करने जो प्रोडक्ट भी रहते हैं। लेकिन अक्सर इलाकों में जो है जवानों को ऐसे पहले कई घटनाएं भी हो चुकी है जिसमें जो है आईडी की चपेट में इस तरह के ब्लास्ट में जवानों को नुकसान हुआ है। जिसके बाद में जो है एक क्लियर एक आदेश भी बीच में आया था कि जवान जो है इस इलाके में 4 पहिए वाहन पे नहीं जाएंगे, वो जो है मोटरसाइकिल में अगर गश्त करेंगे, क्योंकि ये इलाका थोड़ा सेफ था। ये इलाके में जो है डामर रोड बनी हुई थी, यहाँ पर जो है रोजमर्रा लोग आना जाना कर रहे हैं, तो लिहाज से जो है कहीं ना कहीं सुरक्षा बल के जवानों को लगा हुआ कि ये रास्ता जो है काफी सेफ है, क्योंकि एक दिन पहले इसी रास्ते से जो है जवान कैंप भी आए थे, तो उन्हें लगा हुआ कि ये सेफ इलाका है। अक्सर जो है जो लोकल लोग हैं उनसे जो हमको जानकारी मिली कि अक्सर जो जवान बसों में और 4 पहियों में आना जाना करते हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं जो है इलाका सेफ होने की वजह से जो जवान निश्चित रहे होंगे कि हम 4 पहिए में चले जाएंगे, क्योंकि इलाका काफी नक्सल का कोर इलाका नहीं है, इसलिए जवानों ने जो है ये रिस्क उठाया होगा। लेकिन अक्सर जो है इस इलाके में जवान 2 पहिए वाहन पर ही जो है गश्त करते हैं। जी
मेरा अंतिम प्रश्न आपसे, काफी तेज बारिश भी हो रही है उस पूरे इलाके में, मुख्यमंत्री ने भी इस बात का जिक्र किया। मौसम किस तरह से इस तरह के हमलों में किसी भी तरीके की भूमिका निभाता है? क्या उन माओवादियों की मदद करता है और मुश्किल कर देता है? मौसम का क्या इसमें पूरा किरदार, पूरा रोल रहता है?
दरअसल जो है ये इलाका माओवादियों का काफी प्रभावित इलाका रहा है। काफी सालों से माओवादी इस इलाके में रहे हैं और माओवादी जो है लगातार इस इलाके के जो पहाड़ी हो, चाहे यहाँ का वातावरण हो, चाहे यहाँ का जो है यहाँ के जो भौगोलिक स्थिति से वो जो है काफी परिचित रहते हैं। और बारिश के कारण जो है जवान कभी कभी क्या होता है कि जैसे जो पिछले 2-3 से लगातार इस इलाके में बारिश हो रही है, तो बारिश के दौरान जो है गश्त करने में जो है काफी परेशानी होती है। चूंकि ये जो घटना है इसमें जो है बारिश का ज्यादा इफेक्ट नहीं है, क्योंकि ये घटना जो है ये एक रोड पे हुआ है और जंगल में होता तो शायद बारिश की एक वजह रहती, लेकिन अक्सर इलाकों में जो है जवान हर मौसम से मुस्तैद रहते हैं, हर मौसम में लड़ने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं।
बहुत शुक्रिया Satyanarayan Chandok getting us all the details on that very important story. Thank you Satyanarayan for joining us on the broadcast and getting us the important information and what you're picking up on the story. Pathikrit continues to be with us on the broadcast. Pathikrit, I'm sure you heard that conversation that I was having with my colleague. It looks like that this was a targeted attack. This is not a core area of the Naxals. This was considered quote-unquote a safe areas. There are security drills which are conducted, which were done, and it was presumed that a four-wheeler can pass through this area. The Maoists coming out of their core areas and doing attacks of this nature. What does it tell us?
Well, Arunima, 2 points. Number one, these were erstwhile core areas of the Maoists.
Yeah.
Now what has happened is that the central police forces and the state police forces have deeply penetrated into the Maoist bastions. And so what happens as you gain an upper hand on the Maoist, there is a sense of complacency sometimes might sneak in, and you start feeling that, oh, nothing would happen. That's where the problem happens, because the SOPs have to be strictly followed. As I said, they are down but not out. These are military grade SOPs that has to be followed, because it's a military grade conflict literally happening. The central police forces are far more strict on this than perhaps at times the state police forces. I'm not undermining anybody. Secondly, you would see a pattern that most of these detonations and most of these incidents happen when the forces are coming back from an operation, because when they're coming back from an operation, they are a little tired, they lower the guard inadvertently, and they are a little desperate to go back to the camp, especially when there is heavy rain. That's where all these things happen. Arunima was very right about the drones. Yes, drones are being used for surveillance, but I am not sure whether it is for surveillance or whether it's for military grade operations, whether high altitude, long endurance drones are being used for military operations in terms of strikes. Quadcopters cannot be effective beyond the point. I'm talking about military grade drones. That is where we have the ante, because now you might see a pattern where the number of attacks will come down, but the intensity of the attacks will go up, because the Maoists are also tremendously on the back foot. They might in 5 years completely get decimated, but they would keep on doing these things, and we have to save lives. The onus is always on the government, on the people, fighting citizens, because they have nothing to lose beyond the point. The Maoists are ruthless. We have out how to make sure that less lives are lost.
And I hope that this is the last leg of the war against this insurgency that we continue to fight within the country. Pathikrit Payne and Major General A.K. Sivach with my colleagues Arunima, Satyanarayan reporting on that story. Right now, shifting our focus to some more details coming in. And let's tell you about Operation Kaveri. These are exclusive visuals from inside the rescue flight of Operation Kaveri. Rescued Indians can be seen in this, entire video. They are grateful to the government of India for successfully carrying out this evacuation operation. These are from the Jeddah airport. 360 Indians on board a flight which is inbound for New Delhi. They will be reaching India very soon and reuniting with their families. Let's listen in what they had to say.
प्रधानमंत्री जी नरेंद्र मोदी जी आपको शुभेच्छा भेजा है और सारे इंडियंस जो भी सूडान में है उन सबको सुरक्षित वापस लाने का लक्ष्य प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अनाउंस किया है। आप सबको फिर एक बार अभिनंदन।
Thank you very much. All the best. Back, happy journey. We cannot express our great attitude towards Modi ji and the
colleague Abhishek Jha, who's with us on the broadcast. Abhishek, the people are very happy, rightly so. They'll meet their family. They have evaded a war-torn nation. They'll be back to their country, grateful to the government. Tell us more about this operation. Will there be more rounds of flights getting the Indians back, or all of them have been rescued?
So, Nusha, this is a 10 days ordeal that has come to an end for all these 360 passengers who are traveling on a Saudi plane, which has been chartered by the government. The plane is scheduled to reach 3-4 hours from now to Delhi, and from here they will be going to their respective destinations in various states and various districts they are from. Meanwhile, 500 Indians were brought to the Sudan port. From there, they are being taken to Jeddah airport, from where the air travel will happen of all these stranded Indians. Other Indians who are still stranded in various parts of Sudan are still MEA, the mission in Sudan of India. They are trying everything possible to bring them to Sudan port, because the transportation is still a bit open, and it's still it's not exactly safe, but still since the ceasefire has been announced for the 72 hours and 48 hours are still left for the ceasefire. So probably the transportation and the communication mediums are still open to the various places in Sudan. There have been other issue also. A small batch of Indians have crossed over to South Sudan also, where they are in touch with the Indian mission present in the South Sudan, and their documentation and other necessary things are also being arranged for them. So clearly, MEA, Indian missions, Indian community, every possible resource is being utilized to evacuate all the stranded Indians in the crisis that has happened in Sudan in the last 10 days.
You said a 10-day ordeal. How difficult was it to get all of them together on board this flight? Abhishek, if I'm audible to you?
Appreciate the Saudi Arabia part of the Indian government, the Indian embassy. They have done wonderful arrangement for the evacuees coming out of Port Sudan. We couldn't get a better arrangement than this.
यहाँ पे बहुत अच्छा हमको यहाँ पे सेफ्टी हुआ और सब कुछ अच्छा मिला, अभी अच्छा भी टिकट भी मिला भी जाने के लिए, फ्लाइट भी अच्छा भी। यहाँ पे हम कल आए थे और नाइट स्टे हमारा इधर ही था और यहाँ पे जो फैसिलिटी है, जो अरेंजमेंट है, तो यहाँ की जो कम्युनिटी ने जो किया है और गवर्नमेंट ने जो किया है सऊदी अरेबिया में स्पेसिफिकली, और एम्बेसी ने भी किया है स्पेसिफिकली सऊदी अरेबिया में, वो बहुत बढ़िया अरेंजमेंट है।
I'm going back to my colleague Abhishek, who's with us on the broadcast. Abhishek, you were pointing out a 10-day ordeal, very difficult to get all of them on board. What did it entail? How difficult was the operation for it to be successful?
So, Rusha, we also had some comments from other Indians who were stranded, and they explained how suddenly in the morning RSF people barged into their company and they started looting every possible valuables that they had. And then at the gunpoint, they were all the mobile telecommunication mediums, their laptops, everything was snatched, and they were literally left with nothing to get over or contact with the embassy or the missions or their families. With a lot of difficulty, they somehow arranged a mobile and they connected themselves with the Indian missions there, and from there onwards, the whole rescue operation began. So this was the story of a small bunch of people residing in one company, but most of the time, amidst the gunfire and the explosion and the randomness and unpredictable scenario, people almost their lives were at stake, and they still tried to reach out to some place of safety and shelter. And meanwhile, since the start of the ceasefire, they started traveling with a lot of difficulty to the places from where they were picked up, and then they were taken to Sudan port. From there, it has been a bit of smooth journey compared to the last 10 days of their life. And from there, Indian missions had taken over. They were brought to Jeddah. And 2 Indian Air Force aircraft are stationed in Jeddah, but now we are learning that 360 Indian passengers who are the first batch of evacuees, they are being brought on a Saudi plane that has been chartered, and they will be reaching somewhere around 9 p.m. in Delhi, and from here they will be going to their respective places.
Abhishek Jha getting us all the details of Operation Kaveri inside the Delhi-bound flight. Yet another successful operation conducted by the government of the day. We continue tracking this story and much more on the other side of a very quick break. Stay tuned.
Agratna herself said, you are making lies and this is fallacious, because the fact is the Muslim community was not getting any reservation based on faith. It was based on socio and economic backwardness that has been reiterated in several other reports. Second, Zaka, I'm going to tell you how this is a complete fraud on everybody in Karnataka. This cabinet decision on reservations, none of this will even pass and happen for 2 reasons. One, you have breached the 50% cap while the center has not allowed you to do so. So your SC/ST reservations will not take hold. Second, for any reclassification of any OBC communities and any categorization, you need 3 things to be done. Otherwise, this will be void. 1, you need empirical data. 2, you need to have a final backward classes commission report that has not happened. And 3, you need a socio-economic census, none of which have been done. None of the actions of the BJP government are actually going to come to fruition. It is mere electioneering, and it is a ploy which is a fraud upon the aspirations of all communities.
No, so
it is
no.
Not
If
only on
if it is
Muslim
an election ploy, no. Once again, Aishwarya, one second. Let me ask Aishwarya. If it's an election ploy, as you're saying, then how are you going to respond to it electorally? Because the BJP has thrown the gauntlet at you. They are saying that, look, Congress brings in quotas for Muslims. We take away that quota and we give it to Vokoligas and to Lingayats. We are the only ones who care about the Hindus. Congress only cares about the Muslims.
You know, Zaka, it is so unfortunate that the BJP is so bankrupt and deprived of any issues of development that this is what they've resorted to. The Kannadigas in my state have lived peacefully, and today you've taken 4% from one community and piecemeal divided it to two other communities that were asking you for 15 and 12% respectively. The Congress's response is this. We believe social justice is one of the most important responsibilities of any political party. We're saying remove the 50% cap. We're saying we will have a better socio-economic census to ensure all communities are adequately represented. And we've also asked the central government to take the onus on releasing this census data. The Karnataka Congress stands for social justice for all, not for pluck for one and throw at the other or pull from the other.
No, but Aishwarya, you still haven't answered my question. I'll ask Syed Aslam and then also to... No, one second, sir. One second. I need to go to two other guests. There are 4 guests on this show. So let me go to guest number 3, Mr. Syed Aslam of the JDS. Aishwarya has not answered this question, but I'm going to ask you this. Fundamentally, the problem with the Muslim quota, even as Aishwarya argues, it was not based on religion or faith. It was based on socio-economic backward status. The fundamental problem was that socio-economic backward status was for people of one faith. That 4%, if you were socially and economically backward but not from the Muslim faith, you were not entitled to that 4% quota. Now, please tell me, Syed Aslam, why that should not be seen legally as a violation of the fundamental tenet of the Constitution that you cannot have quotas based on religion.
Well, Zaka, let me give you a very valid response to the stats. The Saddening committee report has categorically said the Muslim community, with respect to socio-economic and educational status, is behind the SC community. Let me give you some stats. The youth between the age of 15 to 24. Yeah. Okay. I think.
No, go on. I can hear you.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, Zaka, let me give you some stats. Some empirical evidence as well. Zaka, in the Sachar committee report, it was categorically told that the Muslim community's economic, socio-economic and educational status is worse than the SC community. Let me give you some stats. Between the age of 15 and 24, the youth who have enrolled in the educational institution is just 39%, versus the youth who have enrolled in the SC community in the educational institutions is 44%, and the OBC community is 51%, versus the upper caste Hindu community is 59%. You can understand the educational status of Muslims. And the second very important thing, Muslims contribute about 13% of this population. The bureaucratic representation in the government is just 2.7%, right? And you know what is our representation in the political arena and so on and so forth. Now, it is not about the Muslim communities being given reservation because they belong to one particular religion. It is about the economic status. It is about the social, economic, and educational status.
Mr. Aslam, So the government's argument. Give me 10 seconds. Government's argument is that if you are socially or economically backward, you're already covered under the 10% EWS quota. You apply in that. One second. Yeah. Syed Aslam,
Yeah. So, Zaka, I am drawing a very clear comparison based on the social, economic, and educational status.
Yes.
I am telling you this economically, socially, and educationally backward status didn't start from 1994. There are Miller Commission report, which was constituted by then Maharaja of Mysore. In 1921, the Muslims were considered as the backward community. And post-independence, the first commission, also, we have multiple commissions which have gone through. We have Havanur Commission, we have so many, based on the Chinnappa Reddy Commission, it is not the Congress government which brought in the reservation for Muslims. Based on the Chinnappa Reddy Commission in 1994, it is Honorable former Prime Minister Dantewada ji, then he was the Chief Minister, he was the one who brought the reservation for Muslim community.
The Home Minister there saying that Muslim quota was unconstitutional in the first place, and your government, the Bomai government, removed something that was unconstitutional. If that is the case, why did the Supreme Court in the last hearing ask the Bomai government why there was such a pressing hurry to bring this quota? And more importantly, the Supreme Court today has effectively put a stay till the 9th of May on implementation of this quota.
Good evening, Zaka. Look at the issue like this. What has effectively happened? There was this 4% quota under 2B, which was given only for Muslim community on religious lines. And our constitution doesn't permit reservation on religious lines. What I want to drive home the point is, the backward
सूचना और प्रसारण मंत्रालय के सचिव श्री अपूर्व चंद्रा जी और आज जिनके कारण मन की बात सुशोभित हुई है, वो सारे सोसाइटी के कंट्रीब्यूटर भाइयों बहनों और उपस्थित देवियों और सज्जनों, मेरे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि आज अनुराग भाई ने मुझे निमंत्रण देकर मन की बात के एपिसोड की 100वें एपिसोड की पूर्व संध्या पर मन की बात के स्मरण में सिक्का और डाक टिकट जारी करने के कार्यक्रम में मुझे आप लोगों से मिलने का मौका दिया। मैं सबसे पहले अनुराग जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। मित्रों, आज हम एक अद्भुत प्रयोग जिसने लोकतंत्र की नींव को मजबूत किया, लोकतंत्र के अंदर, इतने बड़े देश के अंदर 130 करोड़ की आबादी में छोटे छोटे स्तर पर देश की तरक्की को अनेक डायमेंशन में कंट्रीब्यूट करने वाले लोगों को परिष्कृत और पुरस्कृत करने वाली हमारे नेता के संवाद के 100 एपिसोड समाप्त होने का ये अवसर है। ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण घटना है क्योंकि लोकतंत्र के अंदर जनसंवाद के अनेक माध्यम होते हैं और मोदी जी ने मेरे जैसे व्यक्ति के लिए बहुत आनंद की बात है कि आकाशवाणी को जनसंवाद के लिए चुना, क्योंकि मैं बचपन से आकाशवाणी का बहुत बड़ा प्रशंसक रहा हूं। मैं हमेशा मानता हूं कि आकाशवाणी भारत की जनता की आत्मा की आवाज है और ये बात मैं इसलिए कहता हूं कि ढेर सारी महत्वपूर्ण यादें मैंने आकाशवाणी पर ही सुनी है। भारत और बांग्लादेश में भारत की विजय को मैंने आकाशवाणी पर ही सुना है। इमरजेंसी के बाद एक तानाशाह के पराजय को सुबह 5 बजे आकाशवाणी के बुलेटिन पर सुना है कि इंदिरा गांधी पराजित हो गई। ढेर सारे समाचार जो ग्रामीण अंचल से आते हैं उनको मालूम होगा कि आप तक वहीं पहुंचे हैं, आकाशवाणी के माध्यम से ही पहुंचे हैं। और मैं संगीत का शौकीन आदमी हूं। दूर दराज इलाकों में, सीमांत क्षेत्रों में देश की सीमा की सुरक्षा करने वाले जवानों की फरमाइश पर एक कार्यक्रम चलता था शाम को 7 बजे, जयमाला, और जयमाला को मैं सुनने वाला नियमित श्रोता हुआ करता था। दूर दराज के गांव के अंदर भी उनके मनोरंजन के लिए अगर कोई साधन था तो आकाशवाणी ही थी। और बदलते समय के साथ अलग अलग प्रचार प्रसार के माध्यम, संवाद के माध्यम आने के बाद आकाशवाणी लगभग लोग भूल चुके थे। मोदी जी ने मन की बात का एक बड़ा साफल्य ये भी है कि आकाशवाणी को युवा पीढ़ी तक पहुंचाने का मोदी जी ने काम किया है। मोदी जी किसी भी माध्यम से संवाद करते, वो संवाद जन जन तक पहुंचना ही पहुंचना था, क्योंकि इनकी लोकप्रियता ऐसी है, उनका दृष्टिकोण ऐसा है कि बात को जनता तक पहुंचनी ही थी। परंतु मैं बहुत बहुत साधुवाद प्रधानमंत्री जी को देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने आकाशवाणी को माध्यम बनाया और हमारा 6 दशकों से जो संवाद का माध्यम था वो आकाशवाणी को आज नई युवा पीढ़ी के साथ जोड़ने का काम करा और हर गांव के हर अंचल में हर मोहल्ले तक इस संवाद को पहुंचाने का काम किया है। मित्रों, एक अच्छा अद्भुत कार्यक्रम जो लोकतंत्र की नींव पर खड़ा है, लोकतंत्र की प्रमुख एस्पेक्ट जो है उसमें से एक एस्पेक्ट है जनता और नेता के बीच में संवाद। ये संवाद जितना मजबूत होता है, लोकतंत्र की नींव इतनी ही मजबूत होती है। ये संवाद जितना मजबूत होता है, लोकतंत्र इतना मजबूत और सफल होता है। और वो संवाद जितना सार्थक होता है, लोकतंत्र इतना परिणामदेही बनता है। लोकतंत्र के सुफल तभी ही मिल सकते हैं जब नेता और जनता के बीच में संवाद हो। और 9 साल के सब एपिसोड को तो नरेंद्र भाई जब से प्रधानमंत्री बने 100 एपिसोड होंगे मैंने सुना नहीं है, मगर कंटेंट से मैं अनजान भी नहीं हूं। मैं जो भी काम करता था, पार्टी का करता था, सरकार का करता हूं, मेरे सामने हर मन की बात की कंटेंट बुलेट पॉइंट में आती है। एक ऐसा आश्चर्यजनक कार्यक्रम है जिसमें 100 एपिसोड तक, 99 एपिसोड तक एक राजनेता ने, राजनीति में रसे बसे व्यक्ति ने जनता से संवाद किया। और
categorically the Muslim community with respect to socio-economic and educational status is behind the SC community. Let me give you some stats. The youth between the age of 15 to 24. Yeah. Okay. I think.
No, go on. I can hear you.
Are you able to
Go
hear?
on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, Zaka, let me give you some stats, some empirical evidence as well. Zaka, in the Sachar committee report, it was categorically told that the Muslim community's economic, socio-economic and educational status is worse than the SC community. Let me give you some stats. Between the age of 15 and 24, the youth who have enrolled in the educational institution is just 39%, versus the youth who have enrolled in the SC community in the educational institutions is 44%. And the OBC community is 51% versus the upper caste Hindu community is 59%. You can understand the educational status of Muslims. And the second very important thing, Muslims contribute about 13% of this population. The bureaucratic representation in the government is just 2.7%, right? And you know what is our representation in the political arena and so on and so forth. Now, it is not about the Muslim communities being given reservation because they belong to one particular religion. It is about the economic status. It is about the social, economic, and educational status.
Mr. Aslam, So the government's argument. Give me 10 seconds. Government's argument is that if you are socially or economically backward, you're already covered under the 10% EWS quota. You apply in that. One second. Yeah. Syed Aslam, yeah.
Yeah. So, Zaka, I am drawing a very clear comparison based on the social, economic, and educational status.
Yes.
I am telling you this economically, socially, and educationally backward status didn't start from 1994. There are Miller Commission report which was constituted by then Maharaja of Mysore in 1921. The Muslims were considered as the backward community, and post independence, the first commission, the first commission also, we have multiple commissions which have gone through. We have Havanur Commission. We have so many. Based on the Chinnappa Reddy Commission, it is not the Congress government which brought in the reservation for Muslims. Based on the Chinnappa Reddy Commission in 1994, it is Honorable former Prime Minister Dantewada ji, then he was the Chief Minister. He was the one who brought the reservation for Muslim community.
The Home Minister there saying that Muslim quota was unconstitutional in the first place, and your government, the Bomai government, removed something that was unconstitutional. If that is the case, why did the Supreme Court in the last hearing ask the Bomai government why there was such a pressing hurry to bring this quota? And more importantly, the Supreme Court today has effectively put a stay till the 9th of May on implementation of this quota.
Good evening, Zaka. Look at the issue like this. What has effectively happened? There was this 4% quota under 2B, which was given only for Muslim community on religious lines. And our constitution doesn't permit reservation on religious lines. What I want to drive home the point is, the backward people under the Muslim community are getting reservation under category 1 and category 2A also, which all my Congress friends and JDS friends are confusing the Muslim community by saying reservations are taken off. No. I want to bring on record that the subcaste of Muslims, Pinjara, Nadaf, Ladaf, Kasab, Kaisai, Nalaband, Bajigar, Johari, Fulmali, Chapraband, Darveshi, more than 20 such castes are getting reservation in category 1 and category 2A already. Under the erstwhile category 2B, the whole Muslim community, as the entire religion of Muslims, was getting this unconstitutional reservation of 4%, which has now been taken back. And coming to the point of Supreme Court saying that nothing should be proceeded till 9, yes, we always respect the Supreme Court decision, because when somebody has filed a case against a particular action of the government and the matter is sub judice, we respect the court decision and we will await.
No, the court also asked in the last hearing what was the pressing hurry. Why would you want to bring this, change this existing quota structure weeks before an election is declared?
Zaka, there's an old saying, just because I was unconsciously wrong yesterday does not mean I should be consciously wrong today. Therefore, the appeasement politics done by the previous governments of Congress and Janata Dal from 1994 onwards, we have now brought that to an end. And ensure that reservation is given to the poor and the needy and the deserving.
Okay, Aishwarya Mahadev, how do you respond to both of these facts that Mr. Prashant and the BJP are saying? Prashant, 1 second, let me go to the other guest. Mr. Prashant and the BJP are saying that A, this is against the fundamental tenets of the Indian Constitution. Our founding fathers of the Constituent Assembly did not want quotas to be based on religion. So how do you justify that? And 2, that poor Muslims are continuing to get quota, the benefits of it under the EWS quota as well as other reservation provisions.
Zaka, good evening. And first of all, I do fear for the job security for the spokesperson, because what he just said is in direct contradiction to what his boss, Mr. Amit Shah, said. And for Mr. Amit Shah, should also check who was the chief minister in power when the Muslim quota, or rather, as they would like to believe, it's this faith-based quota, was even offered. Zaka, a few clarifications. From the Millers Committee of 1921 to the Chinnappa Reddy Committee, the classification to give reservation for Muslims was not based on faith. 1. It was based on acute social and educational backwardness, which has been upheld in subsequent reports as well. When the AG and when they tried to mislead the court, Justice Nagratna herself said, you are making lies and this is fallacious, because the fact is the Muslim community was not getting any reservation based on faith. It was based on socio and economic backwardness that has been reiterated in several other reports. Second, Zaka...
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Plain Speak here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. It's exactly 14 days before the first vote is cast in Karnataka. There is a lot at stake, as in any election. Before the BJP, it's about bucking the trend this time around as far as Karnataka is concerned. The state is known to have a revolving door of governments. Voters choose alternative parties every 5 years. But the BJP is hoping to reverse that very trend this time around. To give the BJP's campaign a fillip, their star campaigner and the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh hit campaign trail today. He addressed a rally in Mandya in the old Mysuru region, an area that's believed to be a weak link for the Saffron Party. Now in 2018, the BJP couldn't win any seats in 5 of the 30 districts in the state. Interestingly, all of those 5 districts fall in this old Mysuru region. To put this in perspective for our viewers, the old Mysuru region has 58 assembly seats out of the 224 strong assembly. That's 1/4 of the assembly strength. What's interesting is that the BJP's foothold in the region is also at about 1/4, which is 25%. There are 15 sitting MLAs of the BJP in this particular region in the entire state. Now that brings us to the entry of Yogi Adityanath, a star campaigner of the BJP. Now back in 2018, that's the last election, when Yogi Adityanath was one year into his first term as Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, he had aggressively campaigned in Karnataka, from coastal Karnataka to Uttar Kannada to Belgaum, Bidar and Hubli Dharwad. He held as many as 33 rallies and road shows. Now, the party is believed to have won majority of the seats where Yogi had campaigned last time around. That is why this year many candidates demanded that Yogi Adityanath be present with them, show them his support as far as their campaign trail goes. The Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh held a roadshow this afternoon before he took to the podium. It was one of the 4 that he held today. When he took to stage, he launched an all-out attack on the Congress party. Let me take you through the biggest attacks that he made during that particular rally. Now, many would call this polarizing, but hear how it went. He said that the Congress has appeased the PFI for vote bank politics. Remember, the BJP has been saying this time and again about Siddaramaiah withdrawing cases against the PFI when he was Chief Minister. Yogi Adityanath then went on to say that it was the Congress that introduced the Muslim quota, which is now scrapped by the BJP. It's unconstitutional, completely illegal, but they did so only looking at appeasement politics and at vote bank. He then also went on to rake up the partition. He said, we've seen one partition of this country based on religion. We do not want religion-based reservation to lead to another partition, is what Yogi Adityanath said. But then what came was the interesting comparison that he made between Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh, the state that he heads. He says there has been no curfew in Uttar Pradesh, there is no danga, all is well. No danga, everything is changa, is what the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh said. He then went on to say that that is exactly what a double-engine sarkar can give you. We've seen that in Uttar Pradesh and you will see that in Karnataka if the BJP returns. Now, many see Yogi Adityanath as a polarizing figure. His comments have often been at the center of heated political debates. Is that sentiment there today as well? Judge for yourself.
डबल इंजन की सरकार की सामर्थ्य और शक्ति का प्रदर्शन वहां पर मजबूती के साथ होता है। नो कर्फ्यू, नो दंगा, और वहां पर है सब चंगा। एक और डबल इंजन की सरकार जो पीएफआई पे बैन करती है, पीएफआई को बैन करती है, और दूसरी तरफ कांग्रेस जो पीएफआई को तुष्टीकरण करने का कार्य करती है। धर्म के आधार पर आरक्षण यह भारत के संविधान के विपरीत है, असंवैधानिक है।
For decades, the BJP has struggled to spread its wings in the old Mysuru region. It's a region that is dominated by the Vokkaliga community. The Vokkaliga community constitutes 15% of the total electorate in the state. They have traditionally voted for the JDS and the Congress. But that community is going to be extremely crucial if the BJP wants to retain Karnataka, their gateway to the south of India. And that brings us to Yogi Adityanath. Him starting his campaign trail from Mandya may not be such a coincidence after all. It's a clear, thought-out strategy, as many experts would believe. Let me tell you why. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is an adherent to the Nath Sampradaya. The Mandya's Mutt has allegiance to that very same sect. The link between the Mandya Mutt and this particular sect that is followed by Yogi Adityanath as well, that link is something that the BJP has wanted to exploit and speak of since the 2018 elections. The pontiff of this particular mutt has a personal rapport with Yogi Adityanath as well. That Vokkaliga monk, in fact, has visited Uttar Pradesh multiple times since 2017, since Yogi Adityanath took over. And that personal rapport is something that the BJP is banking on for support from within the community. And that brings us to the debate that we open up here on Plain Speak. Yogi Adityanath has made his entry into Karnataka. Will this UP narrative, though, give the BJP a leg up, give the BJP an edge?
ಶ್ರೀ ಯೋಗಿ ಆದಿತ್ಯನಾಥಜಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅಖಂಡ ಭಾರತದ ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ को तुष्टीकरण करने का कार्य करती है, उन्हें धर्म के आधार पर रिजर्वेशन देने का
सालों से जो सरकार कर्नाटका में आई है उसने हर स्तर पर आपका विश्वास तोड़ा है। पैसों से विधायकों को खरीदा गया, कांग्रेस और जेडीयू की सरकार को तोड़ के बनाया।
This time people are already decided to choose JDS. BJP and Congress behavior in between them. People have discussed about their attitudes.
Let's open this up to our panelists. Sudha Halkai, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP, joins us on this broadcast. Spokesperson of Karnataka Congress, Dhruv Jati, is also with us. JDS spokesperson Pratap Kanagal is with me on this broadcast, as well as senior journalist B.S. Arun. But I want to ask spokesperson of the BJP, Sudha Halkai, the fact that we started Yogi Adityanath's campaign from the old Mysore region, from Mandya, the link between the Vokkaliga Mutt and the sect that Yogi Adityanath is a part of. Do you think that's a mere coincidence? Has the party deliberately planned this and now you're looking at the Vokkaliga vote bank?
Is it for me?
Sudha Halkai.
Hello?
Ms. Halkai, if you can hear me.
Hello?
We'll try and reconnect that line with the BJP spokesperson, but I'll get in the other panelists as well. And Dhruv Jati, before we reconnect with the BJP spokesperson, how do you look at the kind of comments that have come to the fore, the push that Yogi Adityanath is making in this particular region of Karnataka?
Ironically, CM like Yogi Adityanath, who's unable to maintain law and order in his own state, Uttar Pradesh, who's campaigning in Karnataka today. From 2017 to 2022, Uttar Pradesh has had over 35,000 cases, making it the highest in India, right? And a state like Karnataka, which is extremely diverse. I heard you mention about the Vokkaligas being dominant in the old Mysore region. We also have a large number of communities over there which belong to the backward and the Dalits. Do you think an anti-CM, like the anti-Dalit CM like Yogi Adityanath, mind you, I say this because of his handling of the Hathras case, do you think the people of old Mysuru region would even pay heed to such a person? I highly doubt it. And let me also bring to your notice that the folks and the star national campaigners of the Bharatiya Janata Party are also colleagues with people such as who are scot-free on the Bilkis Bano case today. They are also colleagues of Babu Bajrangi, who very explicitly went on, to very sadly say that he had cut open a woman's stomach and held her fetus on a sword and claimed to be Maharana Pratap. Do you think a state like Karnataka, that is diverse religiously, and also a state that is so unique, is going to pay heed to the Bharatiya Janata Party? Nevertheless, this election on the whole is going to be fought on local issues, on issues such as where the Bharatiya Janata Party has gone to, subjugate the entire, our own Nandini cooperative diary, the 40% scams, the multiple scams, whether it was even the Bharatiya Janata Party's, the issue of price rise and also the mass vacancies in government jobs. The narrative and the issue of the Karnataka people today are mainly on the local ones. Nothing related to Yogi coming and campaigning in Karnataka. There's very little effect of it on the whole.
But back in 2018, that effect was seen. Experts believe that there was some dent that Yogi Adityanath did make, and he was back then just 1 year into his chief ministership at Uttar Pradesh. Now he has a historic second term. Do you still think it's not going to have an effect?
Nothing of that sort is going to work, simply because the people of Karnataka today are worried about local issues, issues that concern them deeply. That is what is affecting every single person from Karnataka, and that is what the Congress is guaranteeing through its 4 guarantees in the state, to uplift and empower Kannadigas, unlike the Bharatiya Janata Party, who's running a campaign that is not based on development, but on dividing and subjugating communities and making the state a war of what I would say religious communities.
Sure. Sudha Halkai, if you heard that, I want you to get in and answer what the Congress says. They say that Yogi Adityanath coming to Karnataka, making comments like Congress appeasing the PFI, Congress appeasing a certain vote bank, all of that is not going to resonate because the people of the state are looking at local issues, and that is what is going to be on the voters' mind on voting day on the 10th of May.
Very good evening.